Great American Landowner. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 196, Greenhouse Design Part 2. Now that 8 had thought it through, he continued, the top ventilation I designed uses a butterfly-shaped staggered window opening method on the roof ridge, and uses a high-end brand of limited reduction motor and gear rack mechanism. The ventilation window ratio is designed to be about 24%. As for the side ventilation, it is on the east and west sides of the greenhouse, about 0.6 meters above the ground, and plastic steel blank float glass sliding windows are installed. The window height is 1.2 meters. There are also insect-proof nets. All window openings must be equipped with 25 mesh insect-proof nets, and 25 mesh insect-proof nets must be installed on wet curtains. This has good isolation performance and is easy to replace. However, due to the characteristics of the greenhouse's structure, heating equipment and cooling equipment, there will be differences in temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide concentration between different areas inside the greenhouse. Therefore, in order to evenly distribute the temperature, humidity, and carbon dioxide concentration of the air in the crop growing area, it is necessary to use fans to artificially make the airflow. 21 circulation fans are arranged in an orderly manner in the greenhouse, which ensures the continuity of airflow and prevents the airflow from blowing directly onto the crops. In addition, aluminum alloy condensate recovery tanks must be installed under all gutters, equipped with brackets and end outlets with hoses. Condensate is discharged to the outside through water pipes to better reduce the humidity in the greenhouse, which is conducive to crop growth and prevents pests and diseases. The condensate condensed on the roof enters the condensate recovery tank through the condensate guide installed on the rafters. Zhou felt that it seemed very powerful, but this time he understood it. If these things are said separately, it will be much simpler. Think about it carefully, and you will understand what it means. Very good. 8. Go on. 8 took a sip of coffee, then fiddled with the computer, and then pointed to Zhou and said, the following is the more important. The internal sunshade and heat preservation system. It can improve the ecological environment of the greenhouse in many ways. In the hot summer, its sunshade curtain can block part of the sunlight and diffuse the sunlight into the room, evenly irradiating the crops and protecting them from strong light burns, while reducing the temperature of the greenhouse by 4 to 6 degrees. By choosing different curtains, different sunshade rates can be formed to meet the needs of different crops for sunlight. In the winter, the internal sun insulation system can also effectively prevent infrared rays from escaping, reduce the loss of ground radiation heat, and reduce heating energy consumption. The curtain uses a sunshade and heat preservation dual-purpose curtain, with a sunshade rate of about 70% and an energy saving rate of about 57%, which can greatly reduce the operating cost of the greenhouse. 8 flipped a few pictures up and down, so that Zhou could understand more. Well, this design is good, Zhou said after reading it. Next is the external shading system, which can block excess sunlight outdoors in the summer, forming shade, protecting crops from strong light burns, and creating suitable growing conditions for crops. The sunshade curtain can meet the indoor needs, control humidity and maintain an appropriate heat level, allowing sunlight to diffuse into the greenhouse planting area and maintain the best crop growth environment, At said. Pointing to the picture. There is also a fan wet curtain cooling system, which uses the principle of water evaporation to achieve the purpose of cooling. The core of the cooling system is the wet curtain that allows water to evaporate. It is made of corrugated fiber paper. Because special chemical components are added to the raw materials, it is corrosion resistant and has a long service life. With the addition of a special water transmitting wet curtain, it can ensure that water evenly wets the entire cooling wet curtain wall. When air penetrates the wet curtain medium, the water vapor exchanged with the surface of the moist medium converts the sensible heat of the air into latent heat of vaporization, thereby humidifying and cooling the air. I plan to install the wet curtain at the north end of the greenhouse and the fan at the south end of the greenhouse. When cooling is required, the fan is started through the command of the control system to forcibly extract the indoor air, creating negative pressure. At the same time, the water pump hits the wet curtain wall opposite, and the outdoor air is sucked into the room by the negative pressure. It passes through the gap in the wet curtain at a certain speed, causing water evaporation and cooling, and the cold air flows through the greenhouse. After absorbing the indoor heat, it is discharged through the fan, thereby achieving the purpose of circulating cooling. Wow, this design is great. Even Atwood couldn't help but say this, and then turned to look at old At and said, "Old man, it seems that your son is much better than you. I think you can consider retiring." Haha. I'm really preparing to retire recently, and now it's time to enjoy life. I didn't want to be reluctant in the past few years. Now when I see Atwood, sometimes I really feel old. Old At said helplessly. "Old man, you are old. This is a fact." Haha. Atwood patted him on the shoulder and said to him. Zhou and Zhou couldn't interrupt the two old people at this time, and they clearly remembered the mood. So the two continued to talk. Zhou hoped to understand more, and Zhou also hoped to explain his system to people more. If this person praises him again, he will be very happy. So sometimes, sudden happiness and joy are very simple. It depends on whether you are satisfied or not. Mr. Zhou, the key to my system is this computer control system. Little At pointed to something and said to Zhou, "Oh, this is the smart device I mentioned?" Zhou asked. "Well, it's almost the same. It uses various sensors to collect parameters related to the greenhouse environment, such as air temperature, humidity, light, etc. When the data is collected and follows certain rules, it controls various execution drive devices in the greenhouse, such as skylights, fans, wet curtains, etc. Then At moved his glasses and smiled at Zhou. In this way, the purpose of artificially controlling the greenhouse environment can be achieved, and it has the functions and effects of a fully automated and intelligent computer system. Wow, go on. Zhou sighed at the American technology, which is really good. This money is going to be spent, and I won't feel it's a waste. My control concept is perfect and advanced. The system draws on the control concept of the Canadian Argus control system. It combines the research results of California universities on facility agriculture and continuously integrates the control needs of user feedback. It has formed a perfect advanced control concept, and the control equipment is also extremely rich. It can simultaneously control skylights, external sunshades, internal sunshades, internal thermal insulation curtains, fans, wet curtain flip windows, circulation fans, fill lights, irrigation pumps, irrigation cutters, fertilization cutters, etc. And the system has a strong detection capability. The control system can simultaneously detect outdoor temperature, humidity, wind speed, wind direction, light radiation, rain and snow signals, rainfall, indoor multipoint humidity, multipoint light intensity, carbon dioxide concentration, soil temperature and humidity, nutrient solution pH value, nutrient solution EC value, water heating water temperature, etc. The design of the target temperature and humidity is carried out in 4 periods every day. It will meet the growth needs of plants at different times throughout the day. This is a very humanized operation. Our controller uses a large screen LCD screen that can display 15 lines at the same time, and the display content is extremely rich. It can also create a sci-fi-like 3D animation monitoring interface screen that will make the effect extremely realistic. This is definitely at the level of the top American people, so if you install it, I believe you will definitely fall in love with it, because it is so convenient. Zhou said excitedly. Zhou felt that he seemed to be possessed by someone at this moment, and he had the flavor of an orator. How to say it? It was very bewitching. Zhou had to say that he was already tempted, and he just needed to make the decision now. Chapter 197 Field Trip. Zhou first learned about the greenhouse design and materials to be used. He didn't know them by heart, but if he had to recite them in front of the old lady, it was still okay. He was still very concerned about this kind of meritorious thing. Now that he knew all this, Zhou planned to take them to the field to investigate. It would be better to collect some information so that it would be easier to adjust the air during installation, and the bearing capacity of the land would also be a little better. According to Zhou's current idea, in addition to helping his master build one, he also wanted to build one himself. In this way, he could take out the things in the space when he had time. These things had to be prepared slowly. Some things can create value, so don't keep them there. According to his idea, there are two things that can be taken out now. One is the long-haired grass that has been thought of, and the other is the insect-repellent grass chain that Zhou has taken out. These plants are woven together, and the smell produced can make most mosquitoes feel disgusted or afraid, thereby forcing them not to approach the wearer, which also achieves an alternative insect-repellent effect. Of course, this kind of smell can also have a refreshing effect on humans. Zhou still recognizes its commercial value, and as long as you are willing to invest money, its changes in the products produced will also be ever changing. This looks very promising, and it also makes him very excited. After thinking about it, Zhou felt that everything should be done, but there must be a reasonable reason. At present, he has thought of one, but it will take time to implement it. Now the main thing is to build the greenhouse first. Bringing a group of people to the land, chosen by the old lady. If the area around it is formed by streams and trees, there are about 10 or 20 acres of land. If the other side of the stream is also counted, it will be big. This used to be a forage planting area, mainly because it is very close to the villa, and it is not suitable for grazing in front of the villa. Besides, the farm is very big anyway. There is no place where it can't be put. It's unpleasant to make trouble in front of the big boss. Obviously, for those smart people, this thing will not be done. So here is just to collect the forage on weekdays, and there is no other use. Old 8 took out the equipment and drew a few strokes. Little 8 also took the infrared equipment and began to measure the length and width of the land. Then he installed a few more sensors for data collection, such as sunlight or air humidity. Anyway, he looked very professional, and Zhou also helped by the side. See if he can learn more, so that when he comes with the old lady, he can explain it to her. After a while, Zhou thought of a question. Hey, 8, how big do you think I should build a greenhouse? Mr. Zhou, if you install an intelligent system, it doesn't matter if it's a little bigger. As long as you can use the computer control, there will be basically no trouble, and one person can manage it. Of course, it depends on what you want to grow. 8 said truthfully. Is that so? Zhou touched his chin with a little stubble. Build a 1-acre greenhouse and open up a piece of land, which adds up to more than 1,000 square meters. The master can do it alone. Just thinking about that thing will make me tired to death. Zhou couldn't help but shudder. I think we should build a greenhouse of about 1,000 square meters first. But you need to divide it into several different areas, and also make a leisure area. Please write these down. The leisure area needs to be large. By the way, please help me purchase some freezers and other things to put in it. Zhou suddenly thought that he could help the master build a multifunctional area with a medical room, a pharmacy and a lounge. In this way, she can rest in it, grow herbs, and sometimes study medical skills and herbs. I believe she will like it when the time comes. Zhou thought it was great that he suddenly came up with this idea. Little It thought for a moment and then said to Zhou, no problem, we have also made these greenhouse leisure areas. Some people will even make a winter area specifically so that you can feel the snow at home and you can sit inside and enjoy it in the summer. Wow, this is really a good idea. This person's idea is great. Zhou's eyes lit up when he heard it. I want to build another one, just on the other side of the stream. I want to divide it into several different weathers, tropical rainforest climate, cold seasons with ice and snow. Oh, man, it's great to think about it. Zhou said with his hands dancing, looking at Little Ed with excitement. Okay, no problem, our company can do these projects. As long as you want it, we will work hard to get it. Little Ed didn't even think about it and started advertising for his company. But this is also a good business. He probably calculated that these 2 greenhouses alone would cost 2 or 3 million US dollars, and his profit point is not low. This is definitely a good thing for him. In this economic situation, most wealthy people and farmers are cutting expenses. Small projects really don't make much money, but now they meet the big boss Zhou. This income will definitely make their company more stable and make a lot of money. However, after finishing this, you can consider going on vacation. Since this shit economic crisis, I haven't had a decent vacation. This time I must have sunshine and beaches, watching the babies waiting for their dad to come and see you. Little 8 smiled strangely when he thought of the beautiful scenery in the future. This smile, a momentary smile, made Zhou suddenly feel a little familiar. Shaking his head to get rid of distracting thoughts, he said to him, "Okay, then you get busy. I hope you can show me the design as soon as possible, and we will try to be as fast as possible. But there is one thing you have to remember. This one over here." Zhou pointed to the old lady's territory. "You'd better design it with a little Chinese flavor. As for my side, you just need to make it as beautiful and sci-fi as possible." "Okay, that's about it," Zhou said to 8. "Probably." Zhou 8 couldn't help but twitch his lips after hearing this. Haha. "Okay, Mr. Zhou, I will come up with a suitable plan for you as soon as possible." Although it was a bit difficult, for the sake of US dollars, Zhou 8 felt that he had to work overtime when he returned and take his family on vacation after finishing this one. "Okay, then I'll leave it to you." Then he said to Nia, who was following behind, "Nia, you and Mizi will take turns to be responsible for this matter during this period and implement the requirements of Ms. Yang and me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 198. Understand? Zio yayo, it's been so long since I uploaded it, and today I finally received a reward. It seemed impossible to do it without signing a contract before, but now it seems possible. I'm so excited. Thank you for the reward from Zio Pangzi. I will try my best to update. Neha looked at Zhou a little confused. Zhou slapped his forehead and said in Chinese, "I just asked you to supervise and see if they made any mistakes during the construction. You should keep a close eye on them. Do you understand what I said?" Zhou looked at him with a serious look. "I understand, boss." Neha first affirmed the boss and then continued, "But I believe they have professional ethics, so you don't have to worry about this matter, boss. They don't follow the requirements of the design drawings to carry out the construction. If they really do that, you can sue them, refuse to pay and ask for compensation." Neha said to Zhou seriously, "Oh my god, this little girl doesn't seem to understand what I said. Why is she suing for compensation? I'm not short of money. What I want now is time, results, and they build a greenhouse that meets the requirements as quickly as possible." Zhou complained helplessly in his mind. He still had to be serious and said to Neha, "This is an opportunity for you to exercise. Why don't you understand? Besides, there are still people watching over it, so I can feel more at ease. I just want them to build it quickly without any mistakes. So, do you understand?" In fact, Zhou also felt that what Neha said made sense. This is in the United States, not China, although it is a bit dirty. But it is obviously not too serious, because the laws here have strict regulations on this aspect, so there is no need to worry about it at all. But Zhou felt a little uncomfortable with this matter. According to the tradition of the Chinese people, no matter what you do, it is best to have someone close to you, or a confidant, to act as a spy, to keep an eye on things. This will make people feel more at ease. Zhou was obviously like this too. He knew it might not happen, but it was only a possibility. What if it was true? What if it happened? So, someone still had to be sent to keep an eye on things. Just like the game company, Zhou was fine at the beginning. After all, the company was not big, but then he launched several projects in succession and invested more than 20 million. He was a little worried. How could he not have someone close to him in the company? Although the people in the development team were all his, he still felt that they were not close enough. so he changed his approach and brought Zhou in to keep an eye on things. All of a sudden, he felt much more at ease. The traditions of our ancestors are all experiences, and they have been verified by countless successes or failures over thousands of years. After thinking about it, Neha understood a little. She is not stupid, otherwise she would not have been able to come to the United States to be admitted to a prestigious university. So she was a little excited. Does the boss think of me as his confidant? Suppressing the little thoughts in her heart, Neha said, "Boss, I understand. Don't worry, I will never let you down. I will take good care of this matter." Zhao Jixi nodded with satisfaction and patted Neha on the shoulder. Neha, you are very smart. I like smart and sensible people. And you have great potential in both, so you should do your best. I have another investment task in China. If you do better than me this time, I will send you there first. So, work hard, girl. Your future is in your own hands. Neha was a little excited. She was about to graduate. Not only did she not have to face the pressure of employment, but she could also get a middle-class salary. Now the boss also expressed that he was optimistic about her, which suddenly made her full of expectations for the future. This time, Neha's voice was a little excited, and she said to Zhao Jixi with a little trembling, "Okay, boss, I will definitely work hard." "Very good, I'm rooting for you." After saying that, Zhao Jixi patted her shoulder again, nodded with satisfaction, and walked towards layer 8. He wanted to see what they were doing. Am I taking advantage of her, or encouraging her? Haha. But her skin is very smooth. After saying that, he looked at his palm which still had the touch, and his heart was a little moved. This Indian girl, haha, is not bad. It's a pity that she is now a sidewalk grass. If she is eaten, it may not have a good impact. Girl, why don't you just come to my bed by yourself? Zhao Jixi began to feel horny. As a man, there is nothing wrong with thinking about it, and he doesn't have a girlfriend now. As long as he doesn't use any despicable means, it's normal to sleep with 1 or 2 girls. Zhao Jixi has been feeling suffocated for a while. Not to mention in reality, he has spent countless hours in the space day and night. He has been concentrating on practicing martial arts and studying recently, so he doesn't have any thoughts in that regard. But today he has some free time, and there is an exotic beauty wandering in front of him, so he seems to be a little horny. We have to go to the town tonight. We can't just hold it in. After thinking about it, Zhao Jixi decided to go there at night. Zhao Jixi couldn't help with the rest of the things here, so he planned to go back first. Today, the old lady took Xianshan, Miko and others to the town to buy things and go shopping. So after looking at the time, Zhao Jixi thought the old lady should be back soon. He called Aide to give him a copy of the information, and after talking to a few people, Zhao Jixi walked back to the villa. "Old buddy, it seems you are doing well," Old Aide said to Atwood meaningfully. "Haha. Actually, the new boss intends to develop the farm, and has invested a lot of money in it. Looking at the herds of cattle and sheep, I know that my old bones will have to work for a few more years." Atwood's expression was a little rosy, and it seemed that after Jay Chow invested in the farm, he was very energetic and motivated. "Now everyone knows that you are the manager of the largest farm in the surrounding area. Compared with the past, Sky Farm is now worthy of the name." Old Aide teased Atwood. "Haha. I think this is God's will," Atwood said happily. "The era of Old Bud has passed, and now, Sky Farm has ushered in a new life. It is younger and more energetic. I believe that in the near future, it will be famous all over the United States. Then buddy, I can only wish you success." Old Aide also sent his blessings at the right time. "That's not right, Old Aide. You can do a lot now, just like this matter in front of you. I hope you can do your best," Atwood said. "Haha. Of course, you don't have to worry about this matter. I will. I have been doing this job for decades. You can rest assured," Old Aide said with a smile. Chapter 199, Bored Vegetarianism. When Zhao Jixi walked back home, it was already past 3 o'clock and almost 4 o'clock, but the old lady and the others had not returned yet. After going into the activity room and hitting the wooden man several times, Zhao Jixi felt that the activity was almost over. He was going to play some games in the game room. The 3D game car that he had recently ordered had already been delivered. This kind of game machine that you play with glasses almost makes you feel like you are in the scene, but it is just a little better than watching a 3D movie. The game is still an ordinary racing and airplane game, but the effect is much better. Zhou saw something familiar in a magazine last time and planned to buy it back to have a look. The price is several times more expensive than that of a computer, but the effect is lever-like, which is not exaggerated. There are two sets of devices on the seat of the device. One is for airplanes and the other is for racing. The device itself also has the function of vibration and tilt, and the chair also has its own track, and you can choose the collision effect. Zhou only played it a few times and felt that this thing is good and the money is worth it. In his previous life, Zhou drooled just by looking at the magazine, but unfortunately he couldn't afford it, even if he wanted to. In this life, he has realized a small wish. It feels so good to buy this thing at home and put it there for him to play. I still remember the movie I saw before, in which a child bought a lot of toy game machines and a beverage coin machine at home. He played there casually every day. When he was thirsty, he went to the coin machine without putting money in it. He kicked it, and a can of Coke or other drinks rolled out. He picked it up and drank it. This is simply the ultimate dream of a child. Zhou is rich now, so of course he also got a copy of these things with a bit of bad taste, especially the beverage coin machine. Zhou's kicking was particularly powerful. One kick and one can. One kick and one can. It was so cool. And Zhou also understood at that time why some Americans still have this kind of beverage coin machine in their houses. In fact, everyone has the idea of kicking a can of drink when they are children. This is like what the ancients said: a wife is not as good as a concubine is not as good as a secret lover, and secret lover is not as good as not being able to steal. It should be a great pleasure in life. The time spent playing games passed quickly, and with glasses and headsets, Zhou didn't even hear the phone ringing until the nanny came in and called him. Zhou knew that the master had called several times, and of course he didn't hear it either, and suddenly felt a little helpless. He should have put the phone in his pocket earlier. Now that the nanny has said it, Zhou called the old lady back to see if she had anything to do. It wasn't until the call was over that Zhou realized that it was the old lady who was going to take Xianshan and the others out for dinner, and told Zhou not to make their portion and not to wait for them to eat. Just eat it yourself. So in the evening, Zhou was the only one eating alone. There was originally an Iha, but this girl ate some fruit and vegetable salad. She said she wanted to keep in shape, and there seemed to be some religious activities at home recently. Tell her to eat vegetarian food for a few days, if she is able. Of course, her family will not force her. After all, she is away from home now. In addition, she has already found a job. Sometimes, if the boss asks her to do so, it is okay to eat some meat. When Zhou heard this, he felt that this girl was quite humane, and knew that work and survival were the first priority. If eating vegetarian food conflicts with work, then of course, she still has to keep her job. Thinking of this, Zhou also felt that this was a kind of helplessness. After all, without money, there is no confidence. Some people think that faith is the main thing in life, while others think that it is just to seek peace of mind. Life must go on, and people cannot drag themselves down for something illusory. In the materialistic society, it is really not worth it. Zhou shook his head and could not care about this. She might be sincere, and she can also lose weight and keep in shape. What else can you say to her? Besides, religious issues in the United States are all big problems. Bosses cannot discriminate against employees or anything like that because of religious issues. There are clear regulations for this kind of things, not some unspoken social rules that are agreed upon by convention. If you violate it, you will not only be condemned by society, but also be punished by law. In short, it is a very troublesome thing. Zhou himself is the same. If his mother calls and suddenly asks him to eat vegetarian food, Zhou will definitely eat and drink secretly. After muttering a few words, wine and meat pass through the intestines and remain in the heart of the Buddha. If his mother is here, of course he will eat vegetarian food honestly. But when there is no one, he will still eat secretly. For him, no meat means no joy. High side, Zhao Jixi tried his best to make it lively, but he felt that eating alone was a bit boring. He had no choice but to turn on the computer and play a movie to watch so that he would not be bored. Although he also knew that this seemed to be not good for the stomach, it would not matter if it happened once or twice. Zhao Jixi was eating the steak fried by the nanny. His eyes were on the computer. With the small pop-up window of Penguin, he accidentally entered the Penguin portal website. Suddenly, a piece of news on the internet made his eyes light up. The corners of his mouth curved upwards. Old Zhou. Then he quickly finished a few steaks, wiped his mouth, got up, took the computer, and went to the living room. Zhao Jixi sat on the sofa, picked up his mobile phone and dialed a number. The other end of the phone beeped a few times, and someone answered the phone. Hello, hello. The man's voice was a little hoarse, not as crisp as before. Zhao Jixi also heard that he was a little tired, obviously because he didn't sleep well at night. At this moment, several prescriptions he had memorized suddenly appeared in his mind. It's true that I memorized too much. It seems to be of some use. Sister Jingli, do you still remember me? Zhao Jixi said. Zhao Jixi, how could I forget you? Zhu Jingli immediately reported his name without thinking and smiled heartily. Zhao Jixi suddenly felt a little strange. What does this mean? Is my voice so strange? Or did I leave such a deep impression on her? She is not interested in me. Although my breasts are a little small, it is not impossible for me to obey you. After a while, Zhao Jixi's thoughts became a little absurd. However, Zhu Jingli's words quickly woke up this toad. It should be a golden toad. After all, he is rich, so he should be decent. I have saved your photo and name on my phone, and I will know who you are as soon as you call me. Zhu Jingli said lightly. Although the words were simple, Zhao Jixi seemed to hear the sound of glass breaking in his heart. Puff, puff, and then a crackling sound of glass falling to the ground. It seemed that there were a few crows calling idiot, idiot, idiot in his ears, and someone in the distance was calling Superman. His mother is also Superman. Bastard. Chapter 200 Film Investment. At Zhu Jingli's house, although she said this just now, she was also surprised that Zhao Jixi suddenly called her. But she was too busy recently, so she didn't want to think too much. The two of them were a gentleman's friendship, and there really wasn't much interest involved. Sister Jingli, I see you're very tired recently. Your voice is so hoarse. Zhao Jixi said with concern. But he didn't mean anything else, just thinking that as a friend, it was only right to care about him. What's more, he had a little trick in his mind at this time, but he couldn't tell outsiders. Haha. You could tell even from listening to the phone call. It seems that I'm really haggard. Why, you are so tired recently. You are not looking for investment for your movie. Hey, how did you know? Zhu Jingli was surprised for a moment, but suddenly calmed down. It seems that my news has spread to the United States. I have to say, I don't know whether this is an honor or a ridicule. Of course it is a compliment. Sister Jingli, you do a good job in marketing. First, you invited 13 human resources directors and executives from Fortune 500 companies to serve as honorary editors of God of War, so that the business circle began to pay attention to this movie. Then you invited Patricia Field, the stylist of Wanted City, to join, and now you have carried out another round of marketing in the fashion circle for God of War. And this news has even spread to the United States. Sister Jingli, you are amazing. Zhao Jixi looked at the analysis on the computer and said to Zhu Jingli, Jess, you know quite a lot about this. Zhu Jingli said in a coquettish and surprised tone, obviously a little surprised that Zhao Jixi paid attention to her. Haha, as a businessman, I plan to learn about anything that I think can make money. Zhao Jixi didn't say much. Of course he couldn't tell her what he was thinking. He even applied the analysis on the internet directly to his own. Zhu Jingli's eyes lit up when she heard this, and she tasted something. But this is a business, so you can't be too casual. Jess, what you said is a bit vulgar. I remember that you are not the kind of person who is detached from things and almost unmoved. Now it seems so vulgar to me. Sister Jingli, impressions are never reliable. My detachment is really fake. I'm not so detached from the world. I won't beat around the bush with you. Do you still want to invest in your movie? Zhao Jixi didn't expect that he would give her this impression. Am I like a Taoist priest or a monk? It seems that I have pretended too much. Hearing what Zhao Jixi said, Zhu Jinglei knew that it was almost the same as what she thought. In her excitement, she couldn't help but cover the microphone and waved her hand in a low voice to make a yeah gesture. After her emotions stabilized, she quickly recovered her talent. Jessie, don't joke with your sister. My little heart can't stand it. What are you talking about? Can I still lie to you? That's not necessarily true. I think we have only met once. Although I feel very close. My father said that you should not trust strangers casually. Dizzy. Zhao Jixi was so excited at this time that she wanted to slap her father to death. Haha. Just kidding. What's wrong? Jixi, you believe it? Zhu Jinglei said with a happy smile. Sister Jinglei, speak nicely. Be serious. I'm serious. Don't take it as a joke. You, little Jixi is angry. It's my sister's fault. I'm not happy. In your current situation, you are almost my breadwinner. You have the final say. Zhu Jinglei teased with a delicate smile. Hey, come on, hurry up. Tell me how much share you have left. Okay, since you want to invest, I can't push it away. Brother Bei and I invested a little earlier, and later we found a few more investors. But after China Film came in, their share was diluted a lot, and they felt it was not cost effective, so they withdrew. Later, I found another production company, and they were interested in investing some. The total investment is now about a little more than 20 million, and the specific amount will only be calculated after the money is spent. There is still a gap of about 8 million now. What do you think? Can you take it? Zhu Jinglei said to Zhao Jixi. Zhao Jixi didn't even think about it and said to her, okay, I will send someone to China to sign a contract with you tomorrow, but I need to review your finances and some other things. My investment team will talk to you. As long as there are no problems, you can receive my check. Zhao Jixi agreed readily. Zhu Jinglei thought for a moment and then said to Zhao Jixi, haha. Okay, since you are interested in investing, I don't have to run around anymore. Haha. That's fine. I'll ask someone to fly to China tomorrow. Let's sign all the contracts that need to be signed so that there won't be any more bad sons. Zhao Jixi said. Jessie, do you trust me so much? Aren't you afraid that I will make a bad movie and lose all your money? Zhu Jinglei was a little confused, so she asked her question. Haha. Zhao Jixi smiled. He knew about this movie of Zhou, and it was guaranteed not to lose money. The box office of over 100 million was guaranteed. In her previous life, she was the first female director in Chinese to have a box office of over 100 million. The reputation of this talented woman is leveraged, and it can be regarded as certified. And Zhou's reputation as the *** queen is not exaggerated, with over 10 million attention. She has a group of fans. Sister Jinglei, your reputation as a talented woman is not exaggerated. Just look at the marketing you have done. I agree with it. I have read the original book. It is a very popular book. I believe it will not lose money if it is made into a movie. After a pause, Zhao Jixi said, unless you are not worthy of your reputation as a talented woman, then I can only blame me for misjudging you. I have nothing to say if I lose money. Sister Jinglei, you think so? Don't be surprised. You are a straightforward person, and you are so smart in the mainland. You have thought of everything, so I have nothing to say. Zhu Jinglei said to Zhao Jixi. Of course, my money didn't come from the wind. Zhao Jixi felt something was wrong after he said this. His money really seemed to come from the wind. But this has nothing to do with the present, and she was stunned for a moment. Zhao Jixi then said, I said that I had to think it through before doing it. Your movie investment was also an accident. I just want to try to invest in movies recently, and now I will take your piece to test the water first. Haha. Anyway, thank you this time. Zhu Jinglei smiled and still thanked Zhao Jixi. Although he has been downplaying his influence in it, she still understands that Zhao Jixi would never invest in this if it weren't for her. It's a pity that it's a little small. Zhu Jinglei sighed alone and didn't think about it anymore. She is still very open-minded about feelings. If you are destined, it will be yours. If you are not destined, you can't force it. Next, the two talked about this movie again. Zhou Jinglei told Zhao Jixi some of the plot. She also talked about some things she wanted to express in the movie. She still had high expectations for this movie and put a lot of effort into it. Zhao Jixi was also a good listener and used some words to enlighten her. The more they talked, the more excited they were. Unconsciously, the two of them chatted on the phone for several hours. The relationship between the two parties also unconsciously became much closer. In the future, Zhou Jinglei will call Zhao Jixi when she is free or send messages to keep in touch. Chapter 201, Excessive. In the evening, the old lady brought Xianshan and Mizi back with a lot of things in big and small bags. Zhao Jixi saw them and hurried out to help. Later, he saw that there were still a lot of things in the car and even called the nanny who was cleaning out. Although Mizi's size made it a bit strange to drive Zhao Jixi's F650. However, it was also thanks to this car. Otherwise it would be impossible to load the things that several people bought. Women are really the same at all ages. They can't be satisfied if they don't go shopping when they buy things. Zhao Jixi sighed with a little pressure, touching the non-existent sweat on his forehead. Okay, Jixi, take a break. The things outside have been moved. After the old lady brought a big bag of things in, Zhao Jixi didn't let her go out to move them. It was completely himself and the two nannies who went back and forth several times to move the things in. Master, what did you buy? Looking at the big and small bags, Zhao Jixi couldn't help but wonder. I bought some ingredients. I'm going to plant herbs. I'll prepare some nutrient soil first. When the time comes, just sprinkle it on the soil and mix it. The old lady pointed to the bags and said to Zhao Jixi, what about these next to it? Toys and clothes for the little girl, and some useful things. Here are some herbs. You should prepare to take a medicinal bath in the next few days. The old lady said. Medicinal bath? Master, didn't you say that I have a good innate foundation and don't need to take a bath? Zhao Jixi also asked if there was a medicinal bath or something. The old lady said yes, but she slapped him a few times and said that he didn't need to take a bath. Why do you want to take a bath again today? That was in the past. Recently, I observed your body. It stands to reason that your daily training volume is very normal and this situation should not occur. But there is nothing wrong with your body, but your muscles are a little too tight. According to the current saying, there are toxins in your muscles. Now we need to eliminate the toxins in your muscles. The old lady also looked at Zhao Jixi with a strange look. She has been full of questions these days. If she understood what is said on the internet, then isn't this scientific? After hearing what the old lady said, Zhao Jixi looked strange and couldn't help sweating. The old lady didn't know the reason, but he knew it. Recently, he relied on the space and practiced hard in it. Anyway, there is a river of vitality when he is tired. After soaking in it, his spirit and body will be much better. But I didn't expect that after excessive exercise, the substances secreted by the muscles accumulated excessively, and Zhao Jixi didn't relax properly. As a result, they were not discharged, so the situation the old lady saw became muscle toxins. What is this, master? Zhao Jixi asked quickly. He couldn't feel it at all. This is a manifestation of excessive martial arts training. It is not harmful to the body now, but it will be different when you are old. For details, go to see the medical skills I gave you. Now you just need to soak according to what I said. This is really strange. Is it because the foundation is too good? After the old lady finished talking to Zhao Jixi, she started talking to herself. It is estimated that this problem will take some time to study. Khan, I'm sorry, master. I can't practice so hard in the future. It's necessary to relax properly. After thinking it over, Zhao Jixi said to the old lady, oh, I know, master. Zhao Jixi certainly couldn't dwell on this matter anymore. The more lies he told, the more wrong they were. So it's better not to say anything. Let the nanny do the sorting. Zhao Jixi asked Mizi to take Xianshan to take a bath and rest first. The little girl had been shopping all day today. After coming back, she felt tired. Xianshan was very polite. After saying something to Zhao Jixi and the old lady, she followed Mizi to take a bath. Zhao Jixi could only feel ashamed. The little girl had learned a lot of bad habits from him. He had to coerce and induce her to change some of them. How long has it been since she followed the old lady? She has become so polite. It really makes him ashamed. Master, you are really a master. You have only been with Xianshan for a few days, and she has become a different person. Now this child is really good, lively, cute and polite. Zhao Jixi looked at the old lady with admiration and said, "It's not that I'm good, it's that you didn't teach her carefully. You just told her everything. Do you think she will remember it after you tell her? Really?" The old lady caught this and started to scold Zhao Jixi. She was really angry when she talked about this. What a good child has been brought up by him. He didn't teach him any good habits, but a bunch of bad habits. Hey. Well, master, I know. Zhao Jixi tried to fool around with the previous things, but he didn't expect that he would get into trouble again. It's really a bad luck. Then, in order to avoid being talked about, Zhao Jixi had to quickly turn the topic back to the greenhouse. Zhao Jixi took the computer and analyzed the models and pictures in it to the old lady. He also repeated what Zhou said to the old lady. Seeing the old lady nod with satisfaction, Zhao Jixi felt more at ease. Well, he did a good job. Did you ask him how long it would take to build it? The old lady nodded with satisfaction, then took the computer from his hand and fiddled with it herself. After looking at some data that Zhao Jixi couldn't understand, she asked Zhao Jixi, "Well, the master hasn't given me the design drawings yet. I asked him to do more tricks on the style. If it's just done according to this, it's really not very beautiful. So it will probably take another day or two to get the drawings. After we are satisfied with the drawings, he will start the construction." Zhao Jixi said, "Well, the style doesn't matter, but since you like something better, it doesn't matter. Anyway, this matter can't be rushed. Slow work makes fine work. This is an unchanging truth." The old lady nodded and said to Zhao Jixi, "Hey." Zhao Jixi said, and seeing that the old lady was still looking, he knew that the old lady could understand it herself. It's a pity that I was still in the mood to listen to Zhao Jixi's repeated remarks next to me. "Master, you understand. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I'm just showing off my skills in front of an expert." Zhao Jixi blushed and looked at the old lady and said shyly, "Seeing your filial piety, I can't refuse." Of course, the most important thing is you, Jixi. You didn't seem to give the master a chance to speak the whole time. You were the one who talked, and I just listened and nodded." The old lady also said to Zhao Jixi with a smile, I, master." Zhao Jixi was so embarrassed that he wanted to run into the space to have a look. This is much better than digging a hole. Chapter 202 Endorsement. This morning, Zhao Jixi woke up as usual, washed up and went downstairs to have breakfast with the old lady. Then after resting, he would exercise moderately. These days, the old lady asked him not to be too anxious and relax moderately. However, he had to strengthen his medical books. The old lady was already amazed at his memory. In this regard, she could only make full use of her previous school education and then asked Zhao Jixi to recite the book. In this regard, Zhao Jixi looked at the bookcase in the old lady's room, which was filled with various medical books and ancient books. His mood could not get better. When will this end? But this was what the old lady told him to do, and he was also asking for trouble. Now he can't do something he regrets. Speaking of which, I recite books every day, just like rote memorization. Even the textbooks say that you have to understand everything thoroughly, right? Can I do it like this now? Thinking of this, Zhao Jixi went to ask the old lady. The old lady was also reading a book at this time. She glanced at Zhao Jixi's question and continued reading. But she said, "If you memorize all my books, you don't need to integrate them. You basically can't cure people. Chinese medicine is profound and extensive. You should lay a good foundation first, before thinking about other things. Don't think about anything that can be accomplished overnight. Just memorize books. Can't cure people. I look like I can cure people." Zhao Jixi was a little absurd. But after seeing the old lady's attitude, he didn't dare to say this. He hurriedly said hey, and went out to memorize the book. Why is this different from what is written in the novel? Speaking of my brother's evil brain, wouldn't people be ecstatic? Compete to accept disciples? Damn. Hey. I'm going. He wanted to swear, but when he thought it was the old lady, he swallowed his original words. Zhou Jixi lowered his head and looked at the book in his hand. Hey, keep memorizing. After saying that, he walked towards the study. The old lady looked at the book and saw Zhou Jixi walk out. He has a good brain, but he is still too impetuous. If Chinese medicine is passed on to him, he will probably run to find someone to test it out immediately. It would be great if this kid could be more calm. He still needs to be polished. The old lady sighed and ignored him. Back in the study, Zhou Jixi locked the door and went into the space to recite. Not long after he went in, he came out with a smile on his face. He put the book on the table, turned on the computer and downloaded some Western medical surgery information, and then went back into the space. Just like what is said in the novel, it is a combination of Chinese and Western medicine. Zhou Jixi doesn't care whether he can use it now. Anyway, he will recite it first, because his brain is working well. Speaking of which, reciting books is really fun after his brain is working well. Sometimes Zhou Jixi can almost remember which page he is on when he holds a book. This feeling is like when he got a new toy when he was a child. He liked to play with it in his hands and throw it aside when he got tired of playing. As for when he will get bored, I don't know. Anyway, he is still in high spirits now. Sometimes his mind paused, and he suddenly thought that if he wanted to show off, he had to know music, especially piano and composing. Although he was not very clear, he should at least know the notes in advance. So he found some music materials and memorized them. He did remember the content, but he still didn't understand it very well. He realized that theory is not something that can be understood by memorizing it. It seems that some things are useless to memorize by rote. It was still a leisurely day. Neha had already set off today and had already followed Harvey and the investment team to China. Zhou Jixi listened to Harvey's advice and registered an investment company, which is the kind that does everything and invests in anything it likes. It is similar to those angel funds and venture capital. He put his original think tank in the company so that this company is at least not an empty shell. But in the end, they all serve Zhou Jixi, just the name has changed, and he is still the one who pays the salary. The company does not have any business now, so he just hired a manager on Wall Street and asked him to work first, and then if he sees something suitable, report to Jay Chou, or if Jay Chou sees something suitable, he will ask him to buy it. In this way, Jay Chou doesn't have to go there in person, but he didn't expect that this would really give him a little surprise later. The investment company has more than 10 million left on its books. As for where Jay Chou got the money, of course he could only borrow it from the bank. Jay Chou is now in debt. Anyway, he still owes the bank more than 1 billion, and borrowing a few tens of millions is a drop in the bucket. The bank is eager to do so. Now Apple's stock momentum has risen to more than 200 per share. How much did Jay Chou buy it at? The average price was 160, and he bought a lot when it was 140. The value of Facebook is also soaring. After Mark Zuckerberg's efforts and the hype of several investment shareholders behind it, the value of Facebook has increased a lot. Jay Chou is still a large shareholder in it, and the bank knows it. They can only admire him. And, in such a short period of time, the investment has almost doubled. Bank of America has absolutely no doubt about his repayment ability. Now, of course, his sponsor wants him to borrow more and more. It's no big deal for Zhou Jixi to borrow tens of millions. He doesn't even need to pledge. He just needs to go over and sign a few documents. Most of the rich people owe money. Now I understand why. They are reluctant to take out the big money in the stock market. There is no sign of dividends yet, so the small money is not enough. How can we not borrow money? It seems that we have to make money as soon as possible. Zhou Jixi sighed and stopped thinking about this problem. Because the game company will be able to lay eggs soon, we won't be afraid of having no money to spend in the future. It is estimated that the domestic film investment of Zhou will not be divided until April next year. And there is money from his two sisters. Zhou Jixi deliberately kept this money. Even if he has no cash in his hands now, he can't lose the money from his sisters. Otherwise, what kind of person will he become? A rich old stingy. Thinking of this, he couldn't help sweating. It's not easy to be a rich man, and it's even harder to be a rich man like me. How can I bear to sell you for money? Stocks? Zhao Jixi smiled bitterly. Although he was not too worried about money, he was sometimes helpless. In addition, he was a bit extravagant, so he couldn't help spending the money in his hand. Chapter 203. Capital Airport of China. Zhu Jinglei received a call from Zhao Jixi today, saying that his people have already set off for China, and they should arrive at this time. So she brought a few assistants and drove 3 business cars to pick up people, including her own cars, a total of 4 cars. It is better to drive more for safety, although they have already discussed it with their big boss Zhao Jixi. However, as a member of the inspection team this time, she still came to receive them politely. Try not to neglect the guests. After all, they will have to deal with them in the future. Zhao Jixi is the big boss, who only pays the money. How can he have time to ask about the things below? Harvey came out with a group of people and saw the sign with his name. After saying a few words to the people around him, he took them to Zhu Jinglei's assistant. The assistant also saw a group of foreigners coming towards her and knew that this was the investor who was going to be accepted. He quickly said to Zhu Jinglei, who was surrounded by several people, "The people from Mr. Zhu's investment are coming." Old Zhu nodded, indicating that he knew. Then she slowly walked out of the encirclement of several people, but she was still wearing a mask on her mouth, and she was afraid of being recognized. She has been very popular recently. Harvey also saw Lao Zhu, who came out after several people made way. He immediately realized that this was the real owner. "Hello, I'm Harvey," Harvey said to Lao Zhu in stiff Mandarin, pointing to the sign. "Hello, Mr. Harvey, I'm glad to meet you." Zhu Jinglei followed and shook hands, and said to him in English. She knew that this person's Mandarin was just a little bit, and she didn't look very familiar. Then several people exchanged a few words, and didn't say much after all. They were still at the airport. It didn't seem too convenient, so Zhu Jinglei took several people to the car and sent them to the hotel that had been booked to rest. As for the matter, we will talk about it tomorrow. It's already past 3 in the afternoon. It's really not suitable to talk about it. Let's adjust to the time difference first. After arriving at the hotel, Zhu Jinglei left an assistant to accompany them. She is a big boss anyway, so how can she be with him all the time? If Zhao Jixi came in person, she would have to stay to accompany him, but now there is no need. After arriving at the hotel, Neha followed Zhao Jixi's godmother to make a phone call. Zhao Jixi has recently learned some medical skills in the United States and memorized a lot of books. If he can treat people, he is still a little short of it, but making a medicinal meal is a piece of cake. He specially found a prescription for replenishing ki and nourishing the skin, combined with the old hen and the space. After making a few medicinal meals, he first gave them to the old lady to try, and she praised them. He made an extra portion and asked Neha to bring it to her godmother, who was visiting friends in City B. As for her parents, they are really far away from her, so she can only fulfill her filial piety when she goes back next time. Anyway, they are drinking water from the space every day, and their health is very good, so there is no rush to replenish this. Godmother Li Ziyuan is different. She is at a friend's house and doesn't drink space water. Although she is in good health, Zhao Jixi is just doing it by the way, as a filial piety. Anyway, he is not going to send it himself. After getting the address, Neha took the stainless steel refrigerated bottle. It can keep the soup and chicken in their original state, which is more useful than putting it in the refrigerator. If you want to drink it, just open it, take out the frozen bottle and heat it up. Neha took a taxi to the Zishan Villa district in the capital, which is also a famous wealthy area in the capital. Most of the people living here are rich people from the government, and most of the owners are senior executives of central enterprises, all of whom are very low-key. After the filing and review by the guard, the taxi was allowed to enter, but there were still 2 security guards driving 4-wheeled electric vehicles beside it. They also asked the taxi to drive slowly and not to drive too fast. The security measures were very well done. In the villa, the godmother was playing Mahjong with several of her classmates at this time, and suddenly received a call from Neha. It said that her godson had something and asked her, the assistant, to bring it to her, so she asked for her address. Li Ziyuan remembered that Zhao Jixi had called her in the evening and told her the address. "Ziyuan, who is coming?" A plump auntie, my godmother's classmate, asked my godmother while playing mahjong. Oh, it's my godson's assistant. She said she happened to come to China for something. Seeing that I was in the capital, she asked her to bring some things over. I don't know what it is. This kid is always looking for trouble, my godmother said with a smile, but her tone was completely opposite to what she said. Oh, haha, Zhuan, from your expression, you treat this godson almost like your own son. Cheng Ying, the owner of the house, said to my godmother. It's the same. The two boys grew up together when they were young. But then I went back to Korea and didn't contact for a while. I contacted him again some time ago, and he ran directly from the United States to Korea to see me. If you guys hadn't been here during this period, I would have followed him to the United States to play for a while, my godmother said with a little pride. Sister Ying, look at Zhuan like this. It's obvious that she doesn't mean what she says. Now I want to see what kind of person this guy is. You don't know, recently, I often hear Zhuan praise his godson. Now I understand that he is showing off to us. Hehe. Leland said jokingly. Leland, you always say that your son is filial, and you are talking about me now. The godmother also smiled and replied. The relationship between the few people is actually very good. They lived in the same dormitory when they were students. Although they have been separated for so long, they don't have any conflicts of interest, which makes it more precious to get along with each other. While the few people were chatting, Neha arrived. This time, the security guard called Cheng Ying's home. The nanny picked up the phone and came to report. Cheng Ying asked the security guard to let her in, and Neha arrived 2 minutes later. Neha looked up at the villa here, which had a very Chinese flavor. She also looked at it all the way in. At this moment, she understood that she had entered the upper class. The boss was from the upper class, so he made friends with these people. She didn't know much about it before, and she didn't meet too many people. This time, after seeing these luxurious villas, she realized that her vision was different from before. After paying for the car, Neha walked up the steps of the villa. The nanny was already waiting for her. Although she was a little surprised by the decoration here, she came here on behalf of Zhou. According to her thinking, she must not embarrass her boss now. So although she was surprised by these, she still put on a smart look and nodded politely to the nanny. After taking the slippers she handed over, she put them on elegantly and followed the nanny in. Chapter 204 smells good. Chapter 204 smells good. Knowing that someone was coming, the few people stopped playing mahjong. They all came to the living room and asked the nanny to pour a few cups of tea. They all drank elegantly there. The temperament of the ladies was immediately revealed, which showed that they had something in common when they were together. The nanny brought Neha to the living room, where the few people were. They were a little surprised to see her face. They didn't expect that she was a foreign girl, not an American or a Chinese as they thought. She looked like an Indian girl. This kid is not honest. Suddenly one of them had this thought. The girl in front of them was full of exotic flavor. She had a good face and a slender and round figure. She had a kind of temperament on the surface, which made people like her. In addition, this girl looked really good, and those two background breasts were also very eye-catching. When the godmother saw Neha, she got up and walked towards her. You are Neha. I'm really bothering you to make a trip. The godmother didn't notice and spoke to Neha in Mandarin. During this period, she had been speaking Chinese with a few people, so she spoke it out now. Yes, Madam Lee, it's not a big deal. I just took a taxi, and it was a quick trip, but the road was a little congested. Neha looked at the elegant woman in front of her and said very elegantly, but her tone was still a little weird. Of course, when she was in the United States, Zhou sounded much better than others. It was like finding a tall person among short people. This is the way it is in the capital. I have been here for a while and I understand it. Come and sit for a while. As she said that, the godmother took Neha's hand and took her to the sofa where several people were sitting, asked her to sit next to her, and held a cup of tea in her hand for her. Thank you. Neha smiled and nodded to the people sitting there, and then said to the godmother who handed over the teacup, drink, it's been quite hot all the way here, and this tea is quite thirst quenching. After drinking the tea, Neha handed the large bottle in her right hand to the godmother. This is what the boss asked me to give you. Please accept it. The godmother took the bottle and said to Neha, Okay, thank you. You have accepted the things, then I will take my leave first, Ms. Lee. After Neha finished her work, she said goodbye and went back to the hotel to rest. After all, she still had business to do tomorrow, so it was really inconvenient to stay here. Seeing her like this, her godmother didn't force her to stay here. Besides, this was not her home, so it was not convenient to make a decision to keep her. However, she asked Cheng Ying's driver and car to send her back first, so as to save the trouble of taking a taxi. After working for a while, she and Cheng Ying returned to the sofa and sat down again. After sitting down, she saw the plump woman holding the stainless steel bottle with Leland, looking at it as if she wanted to study how to open it. But after searching for a long time, she couldn't find a switch or a gap that could be opened. Zhuan, come and see how this thing is opened. We have been looking at it for a long time, but can't tell what it is. What does your godson do? This thing looks so strange. Leland said to her godmother. You probably won't be able to tell. Even if you look at it for a long time, you should ask Zhuan to do it yourself. Cheng Ying said to the two of them with a smile. Haha. Okay, I'll do it. He told me so yesterday. The godmother said as she walked over and took over the slightly heavy thing. She gestured at the base and pressed the top of the bottle. The bottle immediately released a few streams of cold air and then puffed. The godmother took off half of the lid. Oh, this thing is very advanced. I don't know what it is. Leland said in surprise. Yes, it's like watching TV. It seems that I have seen it in that movie, but I can't remember it. The godmother smiled and said nothing. She asked the nanny to take a piece of cloth and took out the inner pot of the medicinal food from the bottle with cold air. Then she asked the nanny to take a casserole, open the inner pot, and pour the contents into the casserole. Now everyone can see what is inside. But she quickly put the lid back on and asked the nanny to take it and add it. Chicken soup. Yes, it is chicken soup. But it seems that some medicinal herbs have been added. The three people discussed briefly and then looked at the godmother, wanting to get an answer from her. Yes, this kid said that he had just learned how to make this kind of chicken soup recently, so he asked his assistant to bring me a portion for tasting. He said that it was made according to some ancient medicinal recipe, and a lot of precious medicinal herbs were added to it. The godmother said proudly, "You sent chicken soup from 1,000 miles away, and this jar alone is worth a lot of money. I don't know whether to say that your child is filial, or that he is a spendthrift." Leland said to the few people with a strange look on her face. Of course this is filial piety for a child. If my son is like this, I will be satisfied even if I die. The plump woman said with envy. Look at you guys. Go home and educate your children well. I'm so tired of listening to you here. Cheng Ying waved her hand in front of her mouth, as if this could destroy the sour taste in her mouth. Sister Ying. The women smiled and started joking again. While they were chatting, the chicken soup was quickly heated up, and a fragrance soon wafted out from the kitchen. Several people were surprised for a moment, and then the nanny brought out the food and divided it into small bowls for each person. Golden chicken soup, tender chicken, and a few slices of ginseng. The other herbs had been picked up by the nanny, so the bowl was indeed very clean at this time, and the appearance was first class and beautiful, plus the tempting taste. These rich women couldn't help swallowing their saliva. I have eaten a lot of good things, but I have never wanted to eat this as much as I do now. Yes, this taste is so tempting. Zhuan, is this really cooked by your godson? He said it was him, so he shouldn't lie to me. Godmother asked everyone to try a little. After all, everyone was here, so of course they couldn't eat alone. No one was polite. It was really delicious. The chicken and the space, plus half of it were herbs and ginseng in the space. Of course, there is no need to say much about the taste of the ingredients. With the old lady's cooking skills, this pot of chicken soup is not something that even a top chef can make. Even if he can, he can't find this kind of space ingredients. So it's understandable that several people were drooling. Wow, this tastes amazing. I've never tasted such delicious chicken soup. Leland said with an exaggerated look on her face, but at this time no one thought her expression was exaggerated at all. In fact, they also felt the same way. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 205, full of praise. The first person just finished speaking, and the ones behind him couldn't help but continue. Not only the soup, but also the chicken is delicious. You all try it. The taste of this meat is really good. The plump woman, Zheng Yuan, also said, Zhuan, your godson is not a chef. The soup he makes is simply amazing. Cheng Ying also praised it. Of course, she also knew that this was impossible, but at this time she could only use this to express her admiration. No, how can he be a chef? He is so lazy, and almost everything is done by his subordinates. He just likes to be lazy and have fun. He used to fry eggs and roast sweet potatoes. I also saw that he could cook when I was in Korea, but his skills were not up to this level. The godmother said with a smile. This is really amazing. Several women carried Zhou, took advantage of the godmother's beauty, and then unceremoniously divided the pot of chicken soup. On the second day, several people discovered the most significant changes. Not only did her body, which had some minor problems, feel much better, but her sleep at night also improved. She slept all the way until the morning today. And when she looked in the mirror in the morning, she suddenly found that her skin had improved a lot. Even the crow's feet seemed to have faded a little, and she looked a few years younger. Lilin, who had changed a lot, looked in the mirror in the morning and screamed ah, which scared her husband and children. They all ran in, thinking something had happened. Mom, what are you doing? It was so early in the morning, and you scared me. I thought something had happened to you. The daughter said to her mother Lilin with crumbs on the corners of her mouth. Yes, what's wrong, Mom? Take a closer look. Have you noticed any changes in me? Lilin said to her children. Changes? What changes? It's still the same as usual. Today, my skin is just a little better, and the crow's feet seem to have less. Your face also looks a little radiant. At this point, the daughter finally reacted. Oh, Mom. What kind of cosmetics did you use? It's so effective. Let me see it. The daughter said as she moved her hands and feet to Lilin, and looked at her mother's skin carefully. Her husband Chen Lei also looked at his wife in surprise. She was indeed radiant. That beautiful face made him feel as if he had returned to his youth, when he was amazed when he first saw his wife. Wife, what's wrong with you? I don't know. When I woke up in the morning, I washed my face and brushed my teeth as usual. But when I looked in the mirror, I found that I seemed to be several years younger. Lilin was also full of questions, but she touched her face happily, as if she liked it more and more, and she couldn't let it go. I'm so envious, Mom. Your skin doesn't look like you're 40. Did you take some magic pill? The daughter is also a beauty-loving person. Seeing the changes in her mother, she was envious. Magic pill, magic pill? Lilin heard her daughter's words and suddenly began to mutter to herself, as if something flashed through her mind. Yeah, I remember it. When I was playing mahjong at your Aunt Cheng Ying's house yesterday, your Aunt Zhuan's son asked his assistant to bring back a bowl of chicken soup from the United States. It seemed to have a lot of medicinal herbs added to it. After thinking about it, I think the weirdest thing I drank yesterday was this. Chicken soup. Is chicken soup so powerful? I don't know. At that time, I heard your Aunt Zhuan say that it was a medicinal diet or some secret recipe, and it used precious medicinal herbs. I can't recognize the others, but I know ginseng. It looks like wild ginseng. Lilin said to her family with a look of reminiscence. Chicken soup. Her husband Chen Lei also looked surprised. Medicinal diet. Secret recipe. The things of the old Jiang who masters are so powerful. No, I'll call and ask first. I wasn't the only one who drank it yesterday. I don't know if the other people had any effect. Lilin thought of this and immediately picked up the phone and called Cheng Ying to ask. Hello, Sister Ying. Ah, you too. Yes, I noticed it too. What about Zhuan? She too. Oh my god, this thing works so well. Wait a minute, I'll be there now. Okay, just change clothes right away. After saying that, He hung up the phone with excitement. Mom, wait for me, I'll go too. At this time, there were only 2 men left in the room. They looked at each other for a while. Well, Dad, can I take a day off today? What for? I want to go with my mom. He glanced at his dad carefully again, and seeing that he seemed to be about to get angry, he quickly continued, I'm not doing this for myself. Didn't you ask me to pursue Uncle Lynn's daughter? I think women all love beauty. I'm going to explore the way. His dad paused and said in a deep voice, well, then you go, and you are not allowed to run off to play halfway, understand? I know, I'll be with mom. Not long after, a group of people gathered at Cheng Ying's house. Several older women sat together, and their friends who had heard the news were beside them, looking at them with envy. If drinking chicken soup can produce such an effect, why would you have to suffer through surgery? You are such a shame. You guys have no conscience. You didn't even call me yesterday, and drank it all by yourself. I hate you. One person said to the radiant women with envy and hatred. Sister Ying, you have become younger too. Yes, not only that, I found that some women's minor ailments are slowly getting better now. After saying that, she looked at her godmother, with a complicated expression on her face. Zhuan, the chicken soup your godson sent is not simple. I specially checked it today, and those ginseng slices alone are all old mountain ginseng, probably fresh wild ginseng. Many other medicinal herbs are also priceless. Just with these things, the value of the soup we drink is probably not low. This kid, I just called to ask, this is indeed made with a secret recipe. He recently worshipped a master and invited him home, and these were all taught by that master. The ingredients used are indeed herbs. He said this thing can keep the face young and replenish ki. The godmother also smiled and told the story. The effect is so good, Zhuan, look. Don't even think about it. My godson said that the herbs here are hard to find. That old wild ginseng is over 50 years old. Some other things are not so easy to match. Besides, he doesn't have time to do this every day. He is very lazy. The godmother refused immediately. Born in Korea, she knew the value of wild ginseng. Chapter 206 Women. Zhou Yao. First of all, I ate the beijiahui yesterday. The black pills were so good. I was so drunk that my eyelids were so heavy. I actually have a draft saved, but I opened 3 lines, and the latter part doesn't match the coded one, so I can only write the middle one first. I'm really sorry for updating it now. There is one more thing. I seem to have been on the Sanjiang reward list, although I don't know what it is. But after getting so far, I finally have a list to be on. Now I'm asking for votes, please. Zhou Yao thanked. Although I don't lack that little money, the main thing is that this thing is very difficult to find. Sometimes I can't buy it, even if I have money. Just now, Cheng Ying asked if Zhao Jixi still has wild ginseng. She wants to buy one, of course. She is talking about the kind of last year. But this kind is the most difficult to get. There is no one for sale on the market, and some have been bought by insiders. It can still be seen in the market there. If it is a normal year of ginseng, she can also buy it for Cheng Ying in Korea. For the old vintage ones, it is really a bit difficult to get them. It is not only a matter of money, but also of owing favors. There are limited things in the first place. If you take one less, you will have one less. If you keep this thing, you may need it someday. Anyway, the rich people are not short of this little money, so they are not afraid of losing money if they buy it. So a few women started discussing these things, and their daughters were full of curiosity about Zhao Jixi and kept trying to find out who this man was. If Zhao Jixi knew, he would not know whether he would be happy or sad if he was being thought of by this group of women. Although the ladies of rich families have advantages by nature, there are also many ugly ones. How can they all be beautiful? They just look good in temperament, and with a little light makeup and clothes, they have knocked out many female asterisk fans in the future. Kiki, I have found out clearly that this Zhao Jixi seems to be the brother of the person who came to have a blind date with you. He is Aunt Zhuan's godson, and the two were childhood friends when they were young. A little fat girl ran over and said to the sisters. The 3 of them looked at each other and then looked at Kiki in an ambiguous way. One of the tall women said to her in a funny way, Kiki, why don't you use the beauty trick to get Li Shuang to do it? Then, I'll do it for Zhao Jixi. What do you think? Sister Anaya, what are you talking about? Really, I won't talk to you anymore. The girl named Kiki blushed a lot. She looked like a very iconic girl. Her personality was a little quiet, with a bit of the flavor of a Jiangnan girl, and she had a lot of bookish air. This was also the reason why her godmother liked her. The little girl was really good, and her mother was her classmate, which was also a reason. Oh, Sister Anaya, you are really selfish. What do you want me to do? I can do it too. Xiu Li next to her was not to be outdone. She straightened her chest, which was surging among the few people, among the Chinese people, and said to the few people, "Air, you little slut, you actually betrayed us sisters for a man you've never met." Anna was absurd for a while, and then she went up to tickle Xiu Li in anger. When she was still angry, she slapped her butt a few times, and her plump buttocks suddenly swelled, and the fluctuation was very attractive. First of all, let me make it clear that I'm not in it. If you want to argue, don't involve me. The little fat girl immediately turned against her. Although this person is a little fat, her facial features and skin are very delicate. It can be seen that she should be a beauty embryo, but it's a pity that she is a little fat, and a little fat. You guys. Anna was also helpless with these people. The laughter of a bunch of sisters immediately attracted the male comrades over there. However, after seeing Anaya, Xiu Li and the fat girl, they couldn't help but feel cold in their lower body and shivered all over. These women are very famous in the circle. Once, several of them kicked a man's balls and said that they even kicked the little guy off. Later, someone called the police, and Anaya took the matter seriously and was detained for more than 30 days. In the end, his father and the parents of several other women had some influence. They dealt with people in the prison and police system and got her medical parole, sparing her from the suffering of prison. After she was released, things did not stop. The man was always attacked by unknown people. It was said that the man and his family could not stand it anymore, but they had no evidence to sue them. In desperation, they ran to rescue them themselves, kicked each of the women again, and sent them to the hospital for a few months before the matter was settled. This incident also made them a little famous in the capital, mainly because of the ruthlessness of these women, which really made them a little surprised. Still looking, watch out for your balls. You still want those crazy women. If you sleep with them and then cheat on them, they will cut you off at night. You won't even have a place to cry when you have a place to go. Ah, no, why not? I tell you, I can tell from your behavior that you don't know the hero list very well. Those few. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Who is saying bad things about me? Women. Who is thinking about me? Zhao Jixi suddenly sneezed for no reason at home in the United States. He didn't know at this time that many women in China began to miss him. From the grandmother level to the little lolly, it can be said that they are all included. Is this the beginning of a pot of chicken soup? Zhao Jixi was about to continue his exercise when the nanny suddenly came in with a phone and said that a man named Darling Huang wanted to see him. He stopped practicing and wiped the sweat off his face with a towel. He stretched his shoulders a few times and walked over to take the cordless phone handed over by the nanny. Hey, darling, what good news do you have for me today? Jess, how do you know I have good news for you? Huang Darling was a little surprised and then continued, but I have to say, you guessed right. I really have something good to say to you. Oh, it can't be true. Are you trying to lie to me? Zhao Jixi's words just now were definitely a joke, but he didn't expect Huang Darling to go with the flow, which made him suspicious. I'm really not lying to you. It's really good news. Anyway, I'm in San Francisco. If you are interested, come quickly. If you're late, there will be nothing. Haha. Huang Darling's tone was very proud. It seemed that there was really something, but Zhao Jixi didn't believe it too much. After all, he didn't tell me anything. Haha. Darling, I don't really believe you. You didn't tell me clearly when you called me. How can I believe you? Zhao Jixi said helplessly. In that case, I'll give you a hint about large animals. Is there any chance? Huang Darling thought for a while and felt that something was wrong. He felt guilty and told Zhao Jixi something. Large animals? It won't be a zoo. Darling, how old are you? You still want to go to the zoo? I'm speechless. Zhou Jixi didn't react and thought he was going to the zoo, but he didn't have any chance of this. Chapter 207. Underwear Party? Large animals? It's not a zoo. Darling, how old are you? You still want to go to the zoo? I'm speechless to you. Zhou Jixi didn't react and thought he was going to the zoo, but he had no interest in this. No, it's a large animal trade. There is a trade fair recently, which is organized by the club's internal staff. I saw that you are very interested in raising these things, so I called you. Huang Daoling didn't pretend anymore and told Zhou Jixi about the matter directly. Trade fair, I like raising animals? How come I don't know that I like raising animals? You have gone to the farm to raise cattle, and you still don't like raising animals? Big cities are so good, but you have to go to the countryside. There is not even a high-end club. Except for hunting, it's really not a fun place. Huang Daoling said to Zhou Jixi. Zhou Jixi was speechless for a while, but despite this, he was a little interested in this trade fair. You obviously can't understand my fun. Wait for me, man. I'm leaving for San Francisco now. Come to the airport to pick me up as soon as possible. After saying that, Zhou Jixi hung up. Hang up on me, Zhu. I haven't finished yet. Looking at the phone that had been turned off, he said to himself. Zhou Jixi ran to take a shower, talked to the old lady, and chatted with Xianshan for a while. After getting the consent of the two, Zhou Jixi drove to the airport. On the way, he also called the airport and asked them to reserve a ticket for the nearest flight. Zhou Jixi calculated the time. It was basically enough. As long as he parked the car at the airport, he would basically be in time if he walked faster. After arriving at the airport, Zhou Jixi handed the car to the staff and asked them to take it for maintenance. Then he rushed on the plane. After staying on the plane for more than half an hour, the plane flew to the airport in San Francisco. It is said that there is still a big gap between small planes and large planes. The comfort level is not good. Fortunately, it only takes more than half an hour. If it is flying to China, it will be exhausting. After getting off the plane, Zhou Jixi carried a fashionable small bag and a pair of sunglasses. With a cool expression on his face, he walked out of the aisle. He saw Huang Daoling from a distance and quickened his pace to walk over. This way, what are you looking at? Zhou Jixi said to him with a smile. I see, Jesse, you seem to have become more handsome these days. Huang Daoling looked at Zhou Jixi with surprise. TSK. It seems that you have been exercising recently. Look at this muscle. God, it's so explosive. He slapped Huang Daoling's weird hand touching him and said to him with a strange look. Darling, you will be misunderstood if you look like this. Don't you see the eyes of the people around you? Shit, you are still touching. Zhou Jixi looked at his hand that was stretched out again and couldn't help but burst into swearing. I'm just appreciating it. Don't think it's disgusting. Huang Daoling felt a little uncomfortable, probably because of the strange looks from the people around him. Let's go, we are going to be late. He then pulled Zhou Jixi out for no apparent reason. It's about to start. Didn't you say it wouldn't be that fast? Zhou Jixi shook off his hand, walked beside him, and asked Huang Daoling. That thing won't be that fast, but there's one good thing. Let's go have some fun first, and then go to the trade fair in the evening. Huang Daoling had a weird smile on his face, and his eyes had a slightly you-know-what expression, and he said to Zhou Jixi with a smile. What's the matter? Don't laugh like that, it's weird. Zhou Jixi said to Huang Daoling, after feeling a chill on his neck. A friend just sent me a message saying that they organized a lingerie party. What do you think? Do you want to go and have a look? Lingerie party? It's the kind where people wear sexy lingerie and then everyone has fun and drinks together? Of course, how about it? Are you not used to it? I know that your growing environment is a bit traditional, but everyone is. Huang Daoling thought that Jay Chou could not accept his party culture and just wanted to say something to persuade Jay Chou. But when he turned his head to look at Jay Chou, hey, where is he? Jay Chou walked to the front. Huang Daoling looked at his back. Is he angry? He can't be so stingy. I didn't lie to him. This is an emergency. Darling, what are you still doing? Hurry up, I can't wait to see those beauties. Jay Chou didn't wait for him and continued to walk out, but he obviously forgot that the car keys were not with him. Puchy. I really wasted my time. Huang Darling couldn't help but laugh and then followed him. Jess, wait for me, you don't have the address yet. Huang Darling was driving the car and Zhao Jixi was sitting next to him, looking outside, thinking about something in his mind. Darling, when will we get there? There won't be any ugly girls later, and do I have to wear underwear later? KO, please say something. Zhao Jixi suddenly felt a little irritated. After all, it was the first time he attended such an interesting party. If he accidentally got hard at the party, it would be, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Thinking of this, his heart was a little confused. Just now, he was imagining looking at beautiful women in lace, and now he was really a little careful. Hey, man, be quiet. I'm still driving. Huang Darling stretched out a hand, touched his ear, and said to Zhao Jixi helplessly. He turned his head to look at Zhao Jixi, then looked back at the road, but said, I thought you wouldn't be nervous. You ran so fast just now, and now you are nervous. Haha. Zhao Ji was silent for a while, then told him all his concerns, wanting him to think of a way. But Huang Darling looked at him strangely. Jess, are you really that sensitive? A little stimulation will. At this point, Huang Darling took out his hand and clenched it into a fist. After a puff sound, he flicked a finger. Zhao Jixi thought about it and thought it was possible, so he nodded a little sadly. Oh my god, what's the matter with you? Huang Darling touched his head with one hand and said to him with an absurd look. Not really, I think there is this possibility. Oh, what's the look in your eyes? I said it's just a possibility. Zhao Jixi said, a little annoyed by Huang Darling's look. Then, he said carefully, and in a low voice, a little guilty, I'll try my best to control myself. It should, maybe, or won't be a problem. But will they tease me? Huang Darling glanced at him and said, what do you think? Chapter 208, Masturbation. Huang Darling drove to the Hilton Hotel next to Union Square in San Francisco, which is located at the intersection of the historical center and Chinatown. Next to it are Market Street, Union Square, Embarcadero Shopping Plaza, Fisherman's Wharf, North Beach and Nob Hill, etc. Various Chinese restaurants and Asian food halls are lined up around the hotel. Zhao Jixi saw a lot of Chinese-style stores or restaurant signs on the road here. California is indeed the state with the most immigrants in the United States. Zhao Jixi often sees various black-eyed and yellow-skinned people on the streets of San Francisco. However, I don't know how many of them there are. After all, there are many Koreans, Japanese, Vietnamese, Chinese, etc. who are similar, so it's hard to tell. After getting off the car, a waiter ran over to help open the car door. Huang Darling threw the phone to the other party and took Zhao Jixi into the hotel door. Before Zhao Jixi left, he looked at the 27-story building and said, Hilton Hotel? This name is very familiar. Jess, let's go. What are you still looking at? It's almost time. We still need to take a shower and change clothes. Hurry up. As he said that, he couldn't wait to come over and pull Zhao Jixi, dragging him, who was a little dazed, inside. The two first arrived at a suite opened by Huang Darling, took a shower, and changed into a set of nice and sexy underwear, and then set off to the party on the top floor. Huang Darling quickly took a shower in the bathroom, while Zhao Jixi took a shower in the inner room. Huang Darling looked at Zhao Jixi dawdling, and couldn't help but called him, Jess, are you done? Hurry up and stop dawdling, okay. Zhao Jixi was silent for a while, and then murmured to Huang Darling, darling, I'm still a little worried about myself. What do you think I should do? I don't want to embarrass myself at the scene, that would be my shame. Huang Darling laughed immediately, hugged his stomach with both hands, and the tears on his face couldn't stop. Haha, Jess, haha, why are you still thinking about this? Please, haha, I'm dying of laughter, my stomach hurts. Haha. Shit, Huang Darling, you have to think of a way for me, now is not the time for you to laugh. Zhao Jixi couldn't help but blush, and his tone became a little louder, trying to cover up his shyness and embarrassment. Okay, wait a moment, haha, wait a moment, I'll help you get it right away. Huang Darling ran out after saying that, and turned out his bag in the room. He took out another large flat panel MP5 player, turned to a certain page, and took something from the bedside table in the room, and walked towards Zhou. At this time, there was no Apple tablet computer. It would take a few months for jobs to be released by the Opera Arts Center, and then it would become a tablet for sweeping the world. At this time, electronic products such as MP4 and MP5 were still rampant. Huang darling. Wait a minute, here I come. How come you still need your dad to help you at the critical moment? Huang darling said as he ran towards him. Go to hell. What a heartless person. How could I teach a friend like you? Huang darling pretended to be sad and said to Zhou, hey, forget it. Who said I'm a good person? I'm really helpless. Okay, stop your boring nonsense. Have you thought of it? Zhou was unmoved. Obviously, these were all small matters at this time. Solving the little brother was the big deal. Okay, I'll follow your advice. I've already thought of a way. He handed over everything in his hand, and Zhou reached out to take it behind the curtain. MP5 and vegetable lubricant? Yes, I think if you just come right now and lower the pressure, you probably won't make a fool of yourself later. He looked at his watch again and then said to Zhou, it's a bit late to find a call girl now, you should do it yourself. I have stored all kinds of passionate videos of women from all over the world in this. I don't share them with ordinary people. This time I'll give it to you. Quickly, don't dawdle. This is not the time to be a hero. I want myself to masturbate. Zhou was stunned for a moment. Speaking of which, he had used it a little in his previous life, but he never did it again after this rebirth. It feels a bit weird to do it by himself now. Of course, Jixi, hurry up. Think about it. You don't want to make a fool of yourself. Think about that pile of lace, bikinis, all kinds of sexy underwear, and all kinds of sexy and hot beauties. I feel like I've entered the Garden of Eden. Huang darling urged Zhou. In the bathroom, Zhou looked at the things in his hand, and then looked at his little brother who was a little excited by what Huang darling said. To jerk off or not to jerk off? Jerk off. He thought for a while with a little hesitation. Darling, can't you call a girl in? Why do I have to do it myself? What time is it to think about this? If you find it now, it will be too late and safe. Don't you want to go to the Iron Gate to party later? The police in San Francisco like fishing very much, so we'd better be careful. Hurry up, Jess. Time waits for no one, and beautiful women wait for no one. If it's too late, all the beautiful girls will be taken away by those idiots. Huang darling said to Zhou with an anxious expression and tone of hurry up. Zhou also knew that it was not realistic to ask a woman to solve it, so he looked at the fifth girl and then looked at the things in his hand. He made a fierce expression. Okay, I'll masturbate. I've masturbated for thousands of years. If I don't masturbate, I'll be ashamed. Kids, I've wronged you this time, but you deserved it. Daddy won't cheat you. Zhou said with a sad face, and then opened a Japanese movie in his MP5. It's still this intimate. He put it on the table and squeezed a little lubricant with his right hand. After rubbing his hands, he slowly attacked the little brother. After a while, Zhou looked in the mirror and looked at the underwear prepared by Huang darling. It was black with a little dark pattern and a little reflective material in it, so it looked unusually bright. Plus Zhou's increasingly perfect body with distinct muscles. It really blinded the women's golden dog eyes. Although Huang darling was also full of muscles, there was still a gap compared to Zhou. It didn't look as tight and perfect as Zhou. The muscles seemed to glow, making people want to touch them to have fun. What an enviable body. After touching it for a few times, Huang darling said jealously, I wonder how many girls will sacrifice themselves to your stick this time. Zhou got goosebumps from being touched and quickly slapped his hand away. Get away and don't take advantage of me all the time. This is for women to touch, not for a man like you to peek at. If you had surgery, I could give you a chance. Get away. You just went for surgery and you want me to be a woman before I've been miniature enough. Huang darling was so angry that he punched Zhou. The two of them put on another coat and went to the party together. Chapter 209, Waves and Breasts. Riding in the elevator of Dooley, the two of them were wearing boxers clothes, one white and one blue, very bright colors. "Darling, the tattoo on your body is nice. It looks very eye-catching." Zhao Jixi suddenly thought of this and said to Huang Duling. Zhao Jixi was a little envious of the tattoo on his body, and sometimes he wanted to get one himself. However, the tattoo art of Westerners has different interpretations in the eyes of Orientals. Although there are many meanings, most of them are negative, which is commonly known as villains and underworld. This also made him, who was born under the red flag, a little hesitant, mainly because he was afraid of what his family would say, and he was a little embarrassed. Of course, for this, I spent more than a month to carve out this picture on my body. At this point, Huang Darling couldn't help but open his clothes a little. "Look here, look at this color, and the head on the back, and the eyes. OMG, these are all masterpieces of God." At this time, Huang Darling was simply a typical representative of half-exposed breasts. Outsiders felt a little bit embarrassed when they saw that. "Okay, got it, don't do that. You look like this now, it's easy for people to misunderstand you," Zhao Jixi said as he pushed him aside. "He looked like this now, it was really that." While the two were talking, the elevator reached the top floor of the hotel, which was the 27th floor. As soon as the elevator opened, Zhao Jixi and Huang Duling came out, and two black bodyguards wearing suits and earphones stood on both sides of the elevator door, staring at the two people. Zhao Jixi was stunned for a moment, and was frightened by the two people who blended into the darkness, especially the two white teeth. It was really unpleasant. Of course he would not admit that he was scared. In order to cover it up, he couldn't help but complain in his mouth. "Fuck, his mother, the light is so dim, and two black people are standing here, what the hell is this?" Although he was unhappy, Zhao Jixi used the dialect of his hometown, not the Chinese language. Only Huang Darling could understand the swearing, but the others were not very clear. The bodyguards thought that he suddenly said something to his companions when he saw someone, and then he became a little unfriendly. As for the reactions of these bodyguards, they didn't provoke them or curse them in person with words that they could understand or comprehend. They ignored it, and obviously, they were used to it. These rich kids are a little neurotic. Although sometimes they are well educated, sometimes some small things can also cause their disgust. The bodyguards don't care about these. Anyway, as long as they don't provoke them, they basically say what they want, and the bodyguards continue to do their own things. So after Huang Duling took out the invitation letter, he politely invited them in. After passing the first level, they walked to a corridor with a slightly pink tone. There were some fluorescent lights around, and the light was concentrated on the crystal for reflection. The surroundings were very dreamy. The two looked like they were dyed with fluorescent light, and their bodies were different from the skin color, which surprised Zhao Jixi. "We'll be in the dressing room soon. Just check in your clothes there. Don't be too nervous, okay?" Huang Darling suddenly felt a little regretful. Looking at Zhao Jixi's expression, he might as well do it by himself. He usually doesn't look like this. Why is he like this all of a sudden? How could he know what Zhao Jixi was thinking at this moment? Zhao Jixi's mind was full of those lace bras and lace underwear. Sometimes women are more tempting when they don't take off their clothes than when they are naked. Especially underwear, which can arouse men's desires compared to swimsuits. Fortunately, I'm much better now. Oh, don't worry too much. I've masturbated. When I went out, I specially ate a few servings of the antipyretic soup sent by the Xianchao pharmacy downstairs. Don't worry, I'm excited now. I'm excited, do you understand? Zhao Jixi said in Huang Duling's ear with a slightly excited tone. Huang Duling didn't say anything more after hearing this, and just thought in his mind, excitement is more troublesome than nervousness. Then he walked forward a few steps. At this time, the two of them could already hear the music in the room, which was still a bit soothing jazz. The lights in the room had a slightly ambiguous color, coupled with the lazy jazz tone. It was really luxurious, just short of a one-sided sex. Led by a waiter wearing a pair of boxer shorts and a bow tie around his neck, the two entered the temporary dressing room, took off their coats, and the waiter helped to deposit them. Two typical muscular men appeared, and Huang Duling had a kind of big, fierce muscles, a bit close to the European and American race. Zhao Jix's muscles used to be a bit like Huang Duling, but now they are a bit different from him. The muscles are more tightly together, although it feels like a size smaller. But in terms of beauty and explosiveness, it is obviously more attractive than that kind of stupid big guy. Huang Duling looked at Zhao Jix's muscles with envy. Although he envied them, it was not easy for him to train his muscles. If he were to learn from Zhao Jixi, he would be exhausted. Sure enough, there are some things that can't be envied. With a helpless sigh, Huang Duling followed Zhao Jixi and was led by the waiter. When they arrived in front of a door, the waiter bent down and waved to indicate that the tick could go in, and he could only go here. Huang Duling pushed the door and walked in and saw the hall. After turning a corner, Zhao Jixi came in front of him from behind. Suddenly, he looked around and saw the red, yellow, blue, green, and white lace underwear, which could not match the asterisk, but instead set off their figures. Wine pool and meat forest, right? My friends and I remember it, right? He muttered to himself. Zhao Jixi quickly suppressed his excitement. After all, he was a rich man, so how could he act like a country bumpkin? Although I was indeed born a country bumpkin, I won't be a country bumpkin forever. Well, although I should have been like that in my last life, in my next life, which is now, I can say for sure that I'm now tall, rich and handsome, and I'm still tall, rich and handsome, and I can kill a bunch of tall, rich and handsome men in seconds. Commonly known as the fighter among roosters, the small jeep among green toads, and the tall, rich and handsome among humans. The hall is decorated in a very typical European and American buffet style. However, the food and the style of the display are different, making people feel full of fashion at first glance. At this time, 2 or 3 people gathered together, wearing seductive underwear and a pair of big white rabbits. When they walked, in addition to the big waves, there were also waves in their hips. The 2 plump buttocks, after clamping a piece of underwear, outlined the middle. The thin little underwear could not cover their pride at all, but aroused people's desire even more. There were even more rising women, and from time to time they would reveal a few unruly hairs, floating outside like self-admiration. Zhao Jixi wanted to go over and say to her, "Miss, your hair has run out, how about I put it back for you?" Chapter 210 Hilton Sisters. Zhou Yao, thank you for your support. I wonder if I need a ticket to be on the reward list. There are also those who wear bikinis and expose their buttocks. The young and perky buttocks and the mature and charming plump buttocks are shining together. Someone even took a funny photo, which caused another wave of shock. Zhao Jixi wished that the hand was his own. The palm was really well preserved. Or there were a few men wearing only a pair of underwear, and a few of them held a glass of red wine or champagne in their hands, standing together and talking about something. However, there were a few people who were still a little excited and would sneak a peek at those big-breasted beauties. As expected by Zhao Jixi, the legendary melancholy orchid finger appeared here. A few legendary gay men or stylists. Typical thin bodies. Zhao Jixi vaguely felt that he could play the piano on them. Because the bones between the ribs were too thin, they were also exposed, which really made people look at them sideways. Following Zhao Jixi's gaze, these people also saw Zhao Jixi. They all let up their eyes in unison, looking at Zhao Jixi as if intoxicated, and chuckled from time to time. Licking their tongues and swallowing their saliva could no longer express their excitement at this moment. Only the rioting little brother could express how excited they were at this moment. In just a moment, Zhao Jixi had goosebumps all over his body, and even the little brother who had just raised his head a little, was completely wilted at this moment. Zhao Jixi, who found something wrong, quickly pulled Huang Duling over, and made him stand in front of him without leaving a trace. He also shamelessly said in his ear, "Darling, it seems that you are quite charming. Look at those men and women, they are all drooling at your hot body." When Zhao Jixi said this, Huang Duling was a little proud at first, but when he glanced at those gay men, his body couldn't help but shudder. Damn, those gay guys actually want to take advantage of me, don't they even look at what they look like? Jess, when we have time later, let's go teach them a lesson together. Well, okay, but what you said is a bit too much information. Have you ever slept with a man? Zhao Jixi felt that his plan to divert the trouble was very successful. However, he was shocked by Huang Duling's words. He had just escaped from the tiger's den. Has he entered the wolf's den again? Huang Daling laughed strangely and said in Zhao Jix's ear, these are all things that happened in college. While they are young, men and women should try it. But I just tried it, and later I didn't feel it was good, so I didn't play it anymore. After saying that, Huang Daling saw Zhao Jix's strange expression. With a smile on his face, he said to him, don't worry, I'm not interested in you. I don't have a big appetite. The man before looked like a woman, so I could stand it. As for you, a muscle man, I don't want to be the bottom, unless you want to. KO, you want to be the bottom. Zhou. The United States is to asterisk asterisk. The flowers under our red flag are now corroded beyond recognition. Zhao Jixi said to him with a shocked face. Come on, Jess, I don't know you yet. Don't laugh so weirdly, it makes me feel a chill in my chrysanthemum. In the private chat room, a waitress wearing a bikini and a bow tie around her neck came to the two of them with a plate of several kinds of wine. Zhao Jixi first paid attention to the two half-covered big white rabbits, probably an E-cup. Europeans and Americans are always bigger. During the evaluation, Huang Daling found something wrong and immediately reminded him, and Zhao Jixi retracted his gaze. He politely took a glass of champagne and took a sip to cover up his slightly impolite behavior. Fortunately, it was only for a moment, and thanks to Huang Daling's quick reminder, no one saw Zhao Jixi's embarrassing behavior. Thank you, I was a little bit out of control today, Zhao Jixi said softly to Huang Daling. Look at this, it's more attractive than a nude party. Sometimes women are more tempting to men when they are naked. Participate in more such parties in the future, or hold a few such parties yourself, and it will probably be much better. Huang Daling said indifferently. After thinking it over, he didn't feel embarrassed about his loss of control. Haha, I think so. I'll have to come to the party more often in the future. Zhao Jixi paused and nodded in agreement. I have to say, the party thing, tut, is really good. I looked around and found that most of the rooms here are upstairs. If you find one you like, go upstairs and have some fun. Of course, if you don't mind, the bathroom is also a good choice. But I personally don't recommend getting a place, because sometimes there is a comparison, which makes people feel bad. Huang Daling whispered in Zhao Jixi's ear. Zhao Jixi smiled and said, haha, just because you can't do it doesn't mean I can't do it. I don't have anything else now, but I'm thick-skinned. It's no problem to grind a little bit. Just watch me perform. You'll die if you don't brag. Boring. Yes. While the two were chatting, Huang Daling's acquaintances also came over, 2 men and 3 women. Huang Daling also introduced them to Zhao Jixi, and several men also got to know Zhao Jixi. As for several women, they all felt a little bright when they saw Zhao Jixi. Celia, Jess Zhao is a strong man with strong fighting power. If you have time, why don't you give it a try? Huang Daling said to a woman who was licking his tongue, with a slightly frivolous and teasing tone, and a hint of depression. Darling, I remember you said the same thing at the beginning, but unfortunately, at this point, he took out his middle finger, gestured, and bent it in front of everyone. The facts prove that you are not as beautiful as you said. Seeing that Huang Daling still had something to explain, Celia was unlikely to give him a chance, and then said, you don't need to tell me that you slept with a few bitches that day. These are really not worth mentioning compared to the facts I saw. Darling, I said a long time ago that you will definitely not have a good ending after fooling around with Celia, but it's a pity that you don't believe it. A friend of Huang Daling teased him. Also, can you tell me about this beautiful lady? While the people around him were not paying attention, Zhao Jixi suddenly asked the woman next to him, who was wearing a black lace bra with rhinestones, and a black lace panty with lace on the lower body, and the center part was also inlaid with a few rhinestones and silver threads. He whispered in her ear. Zhao Jixi couldn't help but have a crush on her. Her tall figure, flowing long hair, bright eyes and white teeth were still very attractive, and Zhao Jixi was no exception. You can call me Nikki or Hilton, but do you really want to know? Nikki felt a chill in her ears, and a special smell came into her nose. She looked up and saw the man in front of her, the oriental man in front of her, or the boy. She was attracted by Zhou strong physique at the first sight of him. She also found that the man in front of her seemed to be relatively young. Although she didn't care too much about a man's age, she suddenly became concerned about it at this moment. She felt a little strange, so she wanted to talk to him. Chapter 211 Hilton Sisters continued. Lazy jazz tunes, luxurious places, sexy outfits. A group of men and women in underwear sipped their wine glasses and teased each other. This was a gathering of young people and a paradise for playful people. Zhou took advantage of the fact that the others were not paying attention and hooked up with Nikki in a short while. The two took a glass of wine, walked to the sofa in the corner, sat together and chatted. Zhou felt much better at this moment. Fortunately, he was scared by those gay men, so his little brother did not embarrass him in this place. Huang Darling glanced at Zhou from a distance and gave him a look, meaning that the brother is not bad. Zhou also returned a look, but he is just average. Huang Darling continued to chat with his friends thoughtfully. You adapt quickly. But if you want to pick up Nikki, you have to be able to stand her superb sister. Oh, poor Jess. Huang Darling muttered with a sly smile on his face. What's wrong, darling? Are you scared by our Saria? How could that be? Do you think I would worry about her? That's funny. Zhou leaned on the sofa, gently shaking the red wine in his hand, and looked at Nikki with his bright eyes from time to time. I have to say, Nikki, you are really beautiful. Especially your outfit, it's really beautiful. Thank you for your compliment, but Jessie, do you think I would go on a date with a boy just for his compliments? Nikki chuckled and looked at Zhou with a little teasing. That may be. At this point, Zhou face got closer and closer to hers, and this sentence was also said in her ear. Then he said in her ear like a breeze, I wonder if the beautiful Miss Nikki can give me a chance. There are many people who want this opportunity. Why should I give it to you? Nikki also said in Zhou ear, but a little ambiguous, and gently sucked Zhou's earlobe. Feeling the softness and coolness beside his ears, Zhou couldn't help but shudder all over. His earlobe is one of the sensitive points. The soft lips and the wrinkles on the lips touched the earlobe, which made Zhou's little brother excited. Fortunately, he suppressed it quickly and looked at the gay men from time to time so that he didn't make a fool of himself. In the distance, Paris Hilton, the sister of Nikki Hilton, was looking for her sister. She disappeared in half a day. I saw her just now, but I can't find her soon. Kim, have you seen Nikki? Paris turned to Kim Kardashian and said, I didn't see her. I was with Ricky just now. Ask Michelle and see if she knows. Kim Kardashian was wearing silver white underwear and small triangle panties. She also brought a hand ring made of silk scarf in her hand, and the half-covered bra squeezed her wheat-colored plumpness even more magnificent. It's that athlete again. Kim, didn't you break up with him? Why are you still with that bastard? He's a disgusting man. Bridget is much better than him. Fuck. Paris said a few words, and realized that she had said too much. Seeing Kim Kardashian's embarrassed face, she quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Kim. I was a little emotional just now. I'm really sorry. I hope you don't take it to heart. It's okay. Maybe what you said makes sense. I've been thinking about this issue recently. Forget it. I'll go get dressed first and talk to you when I come back. Although the words were beautiful, Paris was talking about her boyfriend. She was still a little unhappy and didn't want to talk to her anymore. Okay, I still have to go find Nikki. Paris also nodded and said, and then walked towards Michelle. Although she herself is sometimes a cheap woman, this time she really wants the best for her best friend, but unfortunately she doesn't appreciate it, so she doesn't care about it. Watching Michelle chatting with a female model, she teased the other person from time to time with her hands. She couldn't help but twitch her lips. Since she played the female pilot in Avatar recently, her career has taken another step forward, but there are more gossips. Even the bisexuality that was exposed before has been hyped recently. Now he is still hanging out with women. Paris doesn't know what to say now. Can I borrow Michelle? Paris walked over and said to the little model. She knew what these little guys were thinking. For these little bitches, as long as they can make headlines, these bitches will do anything. Of course, Sometimes she will do this, so she knows these people better. The little model is a little thin, but still very attractive. Seeing Paris's warning eyes, she also took a step back and said, "Of course, I just saw an acquaintance. You guys chat slowly." After that, she twisted her buttocks and walked over, but her little hand deliberately hooked Michelle's buttocks. Michelle also patted her buttocks, then put away her smile and said helplessly, "Paris, you let my prey run away again. I want you to accompany me tonight. I think you should find a hunk now to satisfy you once. I think you should wait until the storm is over before talking to those women. Otherwise, go find Lindsay Lohan. Maybe she will pity you," Paris said to Michelle Rodriguez with a coquettish smile. His hand was still tempting, pinching her breasts a few times. "Okay, Paris, you are not here just to tell me this. Aren't we about to start the event now? What do you want to talk to me about?" Michelle slapped her mischievous hand away and said helplessly to Paris Hilton, "There is one thing. Have you seen Nikki? I don't know where this woman has gone. I can't find her, even if I want to. Maybe she is in the room upstairs, or in the bathroom. Who knows? I haven't seen her for nearly 20 minutes. Haha. I guess she may have met a hunk and can't come back for the time being." Paris knew after hearing this that Michelle didn't see Nikki either. She patted her forehead and happened to glance at Celia. Suddenly she remembered that she seemed to have seen Nikki with her just now. Although it was only a momentary impression, it would be better to go and ask. Now the time for their auction is almost up, and she is so anxious, but her sister doesn't know that she is fooling around with that bastard. She is so anxious now that she really wants to crush that man's balls. At this time, Zhou felt that his little brother couldn't help but feel cold and almost shivered. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 112. Let's do it. The party was still filled with a luxurious atmosphere. Anxious Paris did not find her sister Nikki in the bathroom. Instead, she found Seria, who was hanging out with Huang Duling. When she walked into the bathroom, she could hear the sound of pa 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 and Seria's voice. "Darling, hurry up. Didn't you say you were great? Come on, let me see. Hoo. Seria, you'll see it soon. Hoo. Pa 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 pa. How about it? Now you know the power of my cannon, and then look at the power of my little boy." Huang Darling panted and shouted inside. Wait a minute. Damn, I haven't had enough fun yet. Wait a few more minutes." Seeing that the two were going to fight, Paris Hilton couldn't wait any longer. He walked over and knocked on the small compartment of the two people. "Although I'm a little embarrassed to disturb you now, can you tell me, have you seen Nikki?" The two people inside were startled by Paris's sudden attack, and Huang Duling suddenly couldn't control the feeling of his body. Because when Celia was frightened, her inner heart tightened a little, which immediately defeated Huang Duling. "Ah, Paris. Don't you know that it is easy to get impotent like this? Fuck." Huang Duling felt a little embarrassed and yelled angrily. "If you don't want me to tell Avril about your affairs, I advise you to be quiet. I have something to do with Celia now, although I'm a little embarrassed to disturb you. However, I have no choice. Of course, if you feel that you have problems in the future, I can help you with Viagra." Paris is also famous for her unforgiving words, and she certainly won't be polite to Huang Duling. You threatened me, fuck." Huang Duling was silent for a while. "Okay, you win." Then he whispered to Celia, "Do you know? Tell her if you know." What a disgusting woman. Celia gave him the middle finger, but both of them were not looking good at this time. She still stood in line with Huang Duling. Then he said to him, "I seem to see her leaving with your friend Joss now. She should be in the sofa in the right corner of the oil painting." Jess. It turned out to be his fault. Huang Duling thought in his mind. He didn't feel that Zhou skills were not bad. It didn't take long for him to get the younger sister of the famous Hilton sisters. Maybe she is still doing activities there. Then Huang Duling thought about his depression of being disturbed this time, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Cute Jess. Don't blame your brother, we are all blessed. Now that we are in trouble, we should be the same. That's normal. Hurry up, do you know? Paris shouted anxiously outside and slapped the door a few times, which immediately made Celia's fat buttocks against the door wave. Fuck, this crazy woman is really troublesome. Huang darling complained, and then told Paris what Celia said. On the sofa to the right of the painting in the hall, with my friend Zhou Jixi. This is the last picture I saw. Go and see it yourself. After Paris got a satisfactory answer, he said, thank you, continue. But hurry up, the show will start outside soon. Hurry up. Snow. At this time, Zhou Jixi was obviously chatting with this beauty, and the two sat closer as they chatted. And Nikki would tease Zhou Jixi from time to time, and she was still a little reluctant to let go of Zhou Jixi. If he were an experienced person, he would definitely take advantage of this and invite her to a more private place so that they could have a good chat about life. Although he was not that good, he was not bad. He looked at Nikki and flirted with her. With their physical contact becoming more and more frequent, Zhou Jixi's hand was already on Nikki's buttocks. Through the silk underwear, he quickly tasted the soft and silky taste. He pinched it tentatively, but Nikki did not knock his bad hand away, but looked at him more confusedly. Boy, you are such a bad boy. He took one of Zhou Jixi's fingers, looked at Zhou Jixi, and put his finger in her mouth, and sucked it gently. Zhou Jixi could feel the warmth and softness on his fingers, and his little brother, who had calmed down, was about to riot. Emptiness is color, color is emptiness. Women are tigers, women are tigers. He began to recite in his heart, hoping to suppress his brother. But even so, it still couldn't stop Nikki's charm. Nikki continued, but I like you like this, especially the muscles on your body, your strong arms, your powerful legs, and this in the middle. As the saying goes, there's no need to endure it anymore. Seeing her teasing like this and the obvious hint, Zhou Jixi couldn't understand the situation, so he just went to swing the knife. Nikki, you are playing with fire. Haha. Really, aren't you the same? Nikki also said with a charming smile. Yes, so I'm captured by your beauty. Zhou Jixi raised her chin with his hand and saw that she was looking into Nikki's eyes. The two of them looked at each other, and Zhou Jixi's face was getting closer and closer. The two could almost feel each other's breath. Zhou Jixi blinked his eyes slightly, and seeing Nikki was stunned for a moment, he kissed the red lips. Oh, it should be pink lips. His tongue knocked open her teeth, and went straight in, to hook up with her tongue. As expected, it was still so soft. Nikki's mouth exuded a little rose fragrance. It should be that in addition to the smell of lipstick, she also sprayed a fresh breath mist, and it also smelled of roses. For Zhou Jixi, this gave him a very good feeling. At least there was no bad breath. Nikki was not to be outdone, and wrapped her hands around Zhou Jixi's neck. The tongue in her mouth was more active, and began to entangle Zhou Jixi's tongue. From time to time, she put her into Zhou Jixi's mouth, and her lower body began to move a little, so that Zhou Jixi's hands could cover her buttocks more. Zhou Jixi saw this, and helped her knead her plump buttocks without hesitation. With the elasticity of this buttocks, it really can't be seen that she is a girl born in 1983. At her current age, it is still as elastic as a girl, but it feels better than a girl. Zhou Jixi couldn't let it go, and his mouth and hands were busy all the time. And every time Zhou Jixi pinched it hard, she could feel Nikki's throat The hand around his neck became even stronger, and it was obvious that she felt very comfortable with this. Zhou Jixi followed her wishes, and while enjoying himself, he also pinched her plump buttocks a few times. Chapter 113. Lust makes one lose one's mind. Zio yayo, the store is very busy today, and there are training courses in the afternoon. I'm really helpless. I have been away from campus for a long time, and I have to go to the teacher for class. Damn it, I didn't have time to eat lunch. I'm so hungry that I want to vomit. Now I feel bloated and uncomfortable. I'm late for the update. Sorry everyone. And it is really uncomfortable to write these chapters. Everyone understands. At this time, Zhou Jixi was so excited that he wanted to pick up his gun and get on the horse, but reason told him that it was obviously not the right time. This is still in a public place. Although this sofa is relatively private, Zhou Jixi believes that if he really does it with Nikki, she will definitely make a sound. At that time, it will definitely attract people to look over, and it will not look good. So he rationally chose to have restricted contact with Nikki, and tried not to have real sex here. When Paris walked here, Nikki had already sat on Zhou Jixi's thighs, teasing little Jixi with her plump buttocks from time to time. Suddenly, Zhou Jixi felt like he was about to emerge from the abyss, but little Jixi was a little uncomfortable because of his pants. Zhou Jixi's own hand was still stroking Nikki's buttocks. One hand had almost climbed to the top, and under the constant kneading, the mountain kept changing its shape. Zhou Jixi reached in from the exposed part above, and pinched the little cherry with 2 fingers. From time to time, Nikki pinched and teased, and almost pinched Zhou Jixi's back red. He also sucked his earlobe with force in his mouth, and licked Zhou Jixi's neck with his tongue from time to time. "Baby, you are so attractive. Look at this, it's about to break through the cage." Nikki looked at Zhou Jixi and said to him with a seductive look, and the work on his hands did not stop, and immediately reached in, holding little Jixi with one hand, and scraped Zhou Jixi's balls with 2 fingers, making them tighter. "That's because of your charm. Look, this little guy can't wait any longer," Zhou Jixi said, and deliberately used force on 2 parts of Nikki, expressing his meaning nakedly. "It seems that it can't wait any longer. I have a room upstairs. Let's go upstairs, my lovely sweetheart. I think I can't bear it anymore. I really want to eat you." Nikki not only gestured to scare Jess, but also pretended to growl like a beast, as if she really wanted to eat Zhou Jixi. However, this wild look made Zhou Jixi want to punish her even more. Instead of grinding here and doing this uncomfortable foreplay, it was really a bit helpless. However, his pain or discomfort came quickly and went away quickly. Just at this time, Paris came. Paris Hilton just found the 2 people who were having an affair according to the information given by Saria. It happened to see her sister sitting on Zhou Jixi's lap, and Zhou Jixi was doing actions to Nikki. Seeing this, she couldn't help but frown slightly. Normally, it would be fine, but at this time, she just happened to have something to do, and Nikki was still fooling around with this man. Well, although this oriental man is not bad looking, it's a pity that he has something to do now, so for the time being, he can only do things that disturb others. Looking at the 2 people who were not paying attention to others, Paris could only disturb them first. In fact, when Paris approached the 2, Zhou Jixi had already discovered her. Speaking of which, Zhou Jixi still knew the name of this cheap sister-in-law in his previous life. In the later period, he did a lot of things to get on the list, and this time he also wanted to see how she would feel. Unfortunately, she didn't have any special feelings, and her eyes lit up. "Hey, Nikki, look at what my little baby is doing now." Tut tut. She forgot about her sister's affairs because she had a man. Paris walked over and said slowly. Nikki was having a good time at this time, and she was disturbed for no reason, which made her very angry. But when she heard Paris' voice, she remembered that she had indeed forgotten something important. Although she was unhappy, she still kissed Zhou Jixi and then said to her, "Paris, what's wrong, baby? Don't you want to be intimate with me anymore?" Zhou Jixi asked. "No, there is just one more thing now. I belong to you today." After saying this, she suddenly showed a weird smile and said to Zhou Jixi, "But baby, you have to promise me one thing." "What is it?" Then Nikki leaned over Zhou Jixi's ear and told him about it, and then looked at him with open eyes, waiting for Zhou Jixi to reply. There will be no problem. If you don't take me, then I will be in trouble." "How could it be? Don't worry, you must belong to me. And this matter is all for the children in Africa." "Children in Africa? What do Africans have to do with me?" Damn, there is really a knife above the word sex. Forget it, I will risk it for a while for the sake of the beauty. After thinking for a while, Zhou said to Nikki, "Okay, I promise you." "Thank you, honey, give me a kiss." Nikki hugged Zhou and kissed him hard, and the round peaks pressed against his chest, which made him enjoy it very much. "Okay Nikki, it seems that you also want to do some charity for the children in Africa." Paris looked at Zhou deliberately after saying that, and said to Nikki meaningfully, "But he is really worth your efforts. What a lovely sweetheart." Then Paris looked at Jay Chou with an ambiguous expression, waved her hand and said, "Okay, cute boy, you should let it rest now." Then he suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed Jay Chou's balls with force. Ah! Jay Chou screamed. He didn't expect her to suddenly exert force and thought Paris was just pretending. He wanted to fight back, but thinking that she was just a woman and Nika's sister, he took back his strength. He was so irritated that he took 2 steps back and could only say, "Fuck. You fucked my sister in front of me." Although she was willing, it made me very upset, Paris said with a cold smile, and then he pulled Nikki away. Nikki gave Jay Chou an apologetic look, indicating that it was difficult to say anything for him at this moment. What a crazy woman. She pinched me, and she also scratched me with her little finger. What does that mean? Damn, it's really annoying. Watching the 2 people go away, Jay Chou sat down and drank a whole glass of red wine to relieve his thirst after being bathed in fire. With Paris's move, his little brother no longer raised the flag, so he didn't have to worry about this. But what Nikki said just now made him a little careful. If a rich woman suddenly appeared, what should he do? This has been played out in TV and movies. The hero always has a tragic ending, and the heroine sticks out her tongue apologetically, saying that she is powerless and has no choice but to put up with you. God bless you. Do you think I'm being blinded by lust? Chapter 114. Let's get started. With the Hilton sisters leaving, Jay Chou sat alone on the sofa and drank to quench his thirst. A woman in the distance suddenly caught his eye, and after a careful look, she slowly walked towards him. This person was Michelle Rodriguez. A female model just ran away, and then another one came up. Unfortunately, some people are still clean, so her fantasy is out of the question. She was about to continue hunting, but suddenly saw the Hilton sisters in the corner. Jay Chou, who was between the 2, was even more interested in him. His muscles, one by one, tempted her like sweet chocolate. He didn't want to care about anything, so he went up to take a look. Today, she was wearing a green underwear with a sense of decadence. Although her breasts were a little different from Nikki's, they were not to be underestimated. Especially her healthy skin and masculine tough temperament, which were especially suitable for Jay Chou, who wanted to be gay, but didn't want to be. A man must try everything before he is a man. This is what Huang Dowling told Jay Chou. But if he really wanted to find a man to try it, he still felt a little bit unbearable. When he thought of a man biting him, he shuddered for no reason. Although he was a little moved when he watched the British gay drama Skins, in which the gay man was bitten by the pig's feet, it was a pity that this matter could not be acted upon, just because he was moved. Real life and his inherent values would never let him do such a thing. And suddenly he saw Michelle, and he was a little moved. This woman is really suitable for having sex with her, especially if it is a 2-pronged approach. Not only are there 2 inherent experiences, but you can also try out the thoughts and feelings of gay people. In an instant, Zhou Jixi's heart was moved. "Hey, boy, do you want to have sex?" Zhou Jixi suspected that he had masturbated too much in the hotel, and now he suddenly had auditory hallucinations. He immediately drank another glass of wine to see if there was something wrong with him. After drinking, he looked at Michelle Rodriguez carefully and said to her seriously, "What did you say to me just now?" "Yes, don't you want to?" Michelle said and sat on the sofa, looking at Zhou Jixi with a seductive look. One hand touched his chest muscles again, and the other hand touched the position of little Jixi. Wow, it seems that this little beast is also starting to want to find its mother. Zhou Jixi wanted to say at this time, "What's wrong with this world? Is it really going to be corrupted?" But these are not important things. Of course, at this time, it is necessary to comfort the cute little Jixi. It has been uncomfortable for so long, so it has to find a warm, soft, moist, and smooth cave to let it rest for a while. Of course, adding some lubricant to the cave is also possible. Obviously, it doesn't have too many requirements for these. It lives in whatever Zhou Jixi arranges. At this time, Zhou Jixi, as the boss of little Jixi, obviously will not rely solely on its wisdom. "If it is, you can live here immediately," Zhou Jixi said to Michelle. "Of course, I think it needs someone to love this little guy now." Don't stop. "Yes, I have to say that your hands are a little calloused, but it's very exciting. let's go upstairs. Michelle held little Jixi and said to Zhou Jixi, it seems that this is the so-called taking care of both ends, and this sentence is really well deserved. If used well, it can resist thousands of troops and kill hundreds of millions of people invisibly. Zhou Jixi was not polite at this time and touched her tight buttocks and firm breasts. Sure enough, this feel is really not covered. A girl with a sporty style and a muscular style is really exciting. Then he said to Michelle, okay, that little bit, I can't wait now. After that, Michelle let go of Zhou Jixi. Of course, before letting go, she pinched little Jixi again to calm it down. Unfortunately, Zhou Jixi was so excited that she couldn't suppress him. When Michelle left her hand, he still held the flag high and looked up. Michelle was obviously more excited. She looked at Zhou Jixi again and said, it seems that the plan has changed a bit. You follow me now. She started to walk forward. Zhou Jixi was not familiar with this place, so of course he followed her honestly. He even used his little Jixi to hit Michelle's buttocks. This feeling made him very happy physically and mentally. Michelle rolled her eyes and took Zhou Jixi to the ladies' bathroom. She went in first to take a look. When she found that there was no one, she asked Zhou Jixi to come in and quickly lock the door. When Zhou Jixi locked the door, he directly picked her up. Michelle also took advantage of the situation and attached herself to Zhou Jixi like a koala. The two of them were definitely symbols of asterisk at this time. The two hungry mouths instantly closed together, and the tongues in their mouths also intertwined. Michelle was still rubbing Zhou Jixi's little brother with her hips, and Zhou Jixi's hands behind her also took advantage of the situation to open her bra. Michelle reached out and took off the bra on her chest, and Zhou Jixi immediately felt two small hard points. They pressed against his chest, and Michelle hugged him tighter. From time to time, he moved his body up and down, using Zhou Jixi's skin to open his big white rabbit to increase the stimulation. At this moment, Zhou Jixi had already grabbed Michelle's hips, and when he put his hand into his pants, he found that it was already wet. Come down and take it off. After a the two of them immediately took off the last layer of protection. Zhou Jixi reached his hand to her private part and touched it. After determining the position, he lifted one of her feet with his hand. Michelle held his neck with one hand to keep his balance, and the other hand was on top of little Jixi, pulling her to his position. First, he washed little Jess's face, and then rubbed her outside the door for a few times. When he felt that it was almost done, he aimed at the hole. After Zhou Jixi exerted force on his waist, little Jessie went in smoothly. At once, both of them muffled sounds, and immediately filled each other's emptiness. Michelle really deserves the title of Hollywood tough girl. The female sex is full of strength. As soon as Zhou Jixi entered, he could feel her squirming vigorously. The constant suction came from little Jessie, which made Zhou Jixi not want to move for the time being, so he let Michelle do the opening exercise first. While he was preparing to exert force in the second half, he could only hear Michelle's panting for a while, and Zhou Jixi just responded comfortably with When she was a little tired, Zhou Jixi let Michelle sit on the wash basin, and the two started fighting again with face-to-face body odor. Then, Zhou Jixi, who was not satisfied, turned Michelle over again, and started from the back. He kept hitting her buttocks, feeling the different elasticity, and Zhou Jixi would slap them from time to time, or knead them with his hands. In the end, both of them fought to the point of excitement, but Michelle was the first to lose. This also made Zhou Jixi very proud. Chapter 215. Zhou, I seem to have strayed from the topic recently. I will get back to the topic tomorrow. I need another one tonight. After Zhou Jixi and Michelle had sex in the bathroom, they immediately felt refreshed and almost let out the anger they had just held. The two cleaned up in the bathroom to avoid having a strange smell. When they went out, Zhou Jixi was almost done with his own work, so he began to look at Michelle. It was a bit regrettable to say that he had just entered a hole. However, thinking of what he promised Nikki, it was obvious that he could not continue now. He walked over to Michelle and touched and pinched her for a long time, and then looked at her teasingly and said, I didn't expect that you were still a little cunt. What a cute guy. Michelle slapped Zhou Jixi's mischievous hand. I didn't expect you to have a big sausage, and don't call me a little cunt anymore. I hate this name. Okay, no problem, but let me see this cute little thing again. Come to daddy. Zhao Jixi pinched her breasts and began to act out a situational drama. Then the two of them fooled around for a while, then left the bathroom and walked outside. At this time, the scene outside was also very lively. This group of women actually started a charity auction for men. Several women deliberately sent the men they brought to the auction table and then asked the people who liked him to start bidding for him. As long as they bought him, they would have the right to use this man for 2 hours. As for how to use these 2 hours, it depends on each person. This is also a matter of opinion. If you really want to use it as a massager, as long as the man is not a problem, the two of them can of course. As for the consequences of this, of course, you are responsible for yourself. Zhao Jixi just promised Nikki that he would go on stage at that time and Nikki would take a picture of him. And what he was worried about was that if something unexpected happened, wouldn't it be bad luck? There are many things that cheat fathers or sons these days. At this time, Paris was standing on the stage as the auctioneer. At this time, she was wearing a glove inlaid with rhinestones and holding an auction hammer in one hand. Standing next to her was her sister, Nikki. She was holding a small note and introducing the advantages of the man on her right to everyone. However, the note was a little funny. Not only did the people in the audience laugh, but even Nikki on the stage laughed and read intermittently. Zhao Jixi knew the man standing next to her. Huang Darling had introduced them to each other when they came in just now, and Zhao Jixi had also chatted with him for a few words, but he didn't expect that her female companion wrote about him so funny. He couldn't help laughing at this, and soon Nikki also saw Zhao Jixi. She squinted her eyes and blinked at Zhao Jixi, and Zhao Jixi also smiled and responded to Nikki. Several people in the audience started with $1 and gradually shouted to $500, and then the market continued to rise, especially when a woman with average looks offered $900. Zhao Jixi keenly saw that the corner of the man's mouth twitched and there was a slight sweat stain on his forehead. At this time, Jay Chou could not help but feel very worried about his own way out. However, the man on the stage was still lucky. At least his female companion did not abandon him. In the end, she paid $3,010 and slapped him back to her side. And the man never thought about how his girlfriend attracted him. The two hugged and kissed, as if there was no one else around, and then everyone gave applause at the right time. After a while, another man appeared on the stage, and this man also surprised Jay Chou. He was Huang Darling. It is said that, since Jay Chou hooked up with Nikki Hilton, he has not seen Huang Darling. When he saw him on the stage, Jay Chou didn't know that woman had brought him up. This is Mr. Muscle Man, dedicated by our Miss Saria. For his 2-hour right to use, she offered 1 cent. Nikki smiled first, patted her perky chest, and the men in the audience swallowed their saliva. She continued, Miss Saria wrote a user manual. I'll read it out here and share it with you. Huang Darling panicked. He knew that this woman would not write anything good. Just now, because of Paris, Huang Darling lost to Saria again, so this time he had to follow her instructions and come to the auction table. He burst out with amazing speed and rushed over to grab the card from Nikki's hand. He looked at it and found that there was nothing good written on it. There was a sentence like Mr. Fast and Mr. Weak. He was furious, but he couldn't say it in public. It would be so embarrassing. At that time, it would be like yellow mud falling out of the crotch. It would be shit if it wasn't shit. And it would confirm what Saria said. The Virgin Mary can testify that he had an accident twice when he met this woman, and he happened to be defeated by Saria both times. He was also very wronged. An inexplicable resentment lingered in his heart for a while. There was no way around it, so he simply picked up the small cardboard slightly and finally folded it quickly into a small bean shape. Then he threw it up like throwing a peanut, opened his mouth below to find the right position, and immediately took it into his mouth correctly. Immediately, the people below praised his quick wit and his ability to resolve embarrassment in a chic manner. Some men whistled, and even some women whistled. Zhao Jixi was no exception, and whistled at the loudest sound, but it was also this that attracted many men and women to look over. Especially those gay men. They looked at Zhao Jixi with shining eyes. Huang Daling greeted Zhao Jixi on the stage, which immediately moved Zhao Jixi away from the sight of several gay men. He smiled at Huang Daling and gave him a thumbs up with his right hand. He called out $100 first. It was considered the first offer, and the men and women who wanted to participate in the game later also began to bid separately. However, Zhao Jixi didn't know that it was his support for his friend just now that got him into a little trouble. When the gays heard JC Zhao bidding against the man, they were immediately excited. Could it be that he really shared the same hobbies as us? And men could also bid. All of a sudden, the guys behind him were in trouble. In addition to dealing with women, they had to be on guard against men. What kind of thing was this? In the end, Huang Daling didn't lose face. He bought a picture for a pretty Asian girl for $5,900. Huang Daling happily went down to hug the girl and looked at Celia in a demonstrative manner. Celia couldn't help but give him a middle finger and made a fuck sound with her mouth. Chapter 216 Large Animals. Time passed quickly, and the subsequent plot was not what Jay Chou thought, except that a few gays made things difficult for him. Things developed smoothly, and the final result was still photographed by Nikki. In the evening, Jay Chou and Nikki went back to the hotel first, and sat down to finish the unfinished business. He took her to the restaurant to eat something, and waited for Huang Daling. By the way, this guy is still romantic now. But it was because of this that he was able to have a romantic candlelight dinner with Nikki. The two of them drank some coffee together and talked about fashion, music, etc. Although this is a rich girl, she is still the kind of person who doesn't worry about food and drink by relying on the foundation. But to be honest, Nikki still has some real talents and knowledge. Jay Chou also relied on reading a lot of books to cope with the chat, and Nikki's knowledge was earned by his own efforts. The two chatted well, and Nikki also had a good impression of Jay Chou. Although he didn't know what this person did, he looked at his conversation and dress. It should be good. As a woman, how could she not see the value of a watch on Jay Chou's hand? In the evening, Huang Daling came to Jay Chou with a female companion. But it was obviously not the woman just now. Jay Chou did not say anything about it. After all, everyone was at the scene, so it was not easy to say this. Hey, Jess, Nikki, you are here too. Huang Daling greeted the two of them and introduced the woman. By the way, Jay Chou did not care too much. Anyway, she was a woman who looked like a supporting role. Maybe she will die someday. She is really not worth paying attention to. Nikki's idea was the same as Jay Chou's. The two looked at each other tacitly and laughed at each other. In Huang Daling's puzzled look, Jay Chou directly put his arm around his shoulders and took him out. Jay Chou did not have a car in San Francisco, so he took Nikki's sports car. Huang Daling's was also a beige Ferrari sports car. With the roar, the two cars started to move. Zhao Jixi told Nikki to follow behind Huang Daling. Jessie, what are we going to do now? Nikki asked while driving. She wanted to go just now, but Zhao Jixi said that she had something to do in the evening, so she didn't want to go. Huang Daling just said that he could bring a female companion, so Zhao Jixi invited Nikki. Nikki agreed without thinking, but she still didn't know what she was going to do, so she looked at Zhao Jixi with doubt. I called and heard that there is a large animal auction. I'm a little interested in this, so I want to go and see it. Zhao Jixi said to Nikki. Large animal auction? This seems to be something that a bunch of farmers and manor owners like. Those rich people like to raise some large animals in their own territories for viewing. Nikki has heard of this, so she can say a thing or two. After all, it is really inconvenient to raise these things in the city, and sometimes it will attract complaints from neighbors, which is really annoying. However, those wealthy people who bought farms, ranches, manors, etc. for vacation, of course, have places to raise these. Where there is demand, there is supply, and a group of people who intend to make this money came into being, and this auction or trade fair is a small part of this supply chain. Jess, are you planning to buy some to keep at home? After thinking for a while, Nikki felt that Jay Chou was definitely not going there for no reason. Seeing his excited look, it was clear that he was going to buy something. Well, see if there is anything I like. I plan to buy some back as pets. Don't you think those beasts are cool? Jay Chou nodded in response, and then said what he thought. Nikki pondered for a moment. The beasts are indeed good, but she thought about cleaning their fesses, or preventing them from accidentally hurting people and neighbors' complaints. This is not something that can be solved with a word of maybe. Although she thought so in her mind, she obviously would not say this to hit Jay Chou now. Speaking of which, if today's dinner is considered a date, then they are just a couple who have just dated once, and they are not really close, even if they went to bed. They are just sex buddies, or they can leave at night, or in the morning. Haha. It's a good idea, as long as you like it. Nikki smiled and concealed a trace of embarrassment. Indeed, I think so too, but I hope there are good guys. Nikki's car followed Huang Duling to the suburbs of San Francisco. After Huang Duling was checked, they entered a private farm, or a private holiday farm. Anyway, the meaning is similar. When Zhao Jixi let Nikki in, there were already more than 10 people inside. What was surprising was that Zhao Jixi actually saw acquaintances, one of whom was a friend he met with Mark Zuckerberg. There were also a few people who met in the place by chance, and Zhao Jixi took Nikki to chat with them and reminisce about the past. Huang Duling also walked over. He knew one of the two men. After all, he was a local boss in San Francisco and a party animal. It was no surprise that he knew many people. After the two exchanged a few pleasantries and introduced each other, they became familiar with each other and formed a small circle to chat. Jess, you have made a lot of money recently. Apple stock is now almost $190. You have a good eye. Hicks said to Jay Chou with a pretended jealous look. The fact that Jay Chou owns a lot of Apple stocks is also known to the senior executives of Facebook. However, they are not too sure about the exact number. It is certain that there are hundreds of thousands of shares. Even if it is 200,000 or 300,000, it is almost 10 million US dollars. And it has only been a short time, so it is understandable that the two of them are jealous. Haha. Thanks to Steve Jobs' good management, the stock value has increased a lot. Although he already knew the final result, Zhao Jixi still felt very comfortable watching his money grow little by little, and he couldn't help but feel a little proud at this time. I think the goddess of luck is favoring you. Recently, even the market value of Facebook has increased a lot. Jess, the money you invested has started to grow again in just a short time. Yes, recently even the mobile game you developed has been very popular. Now it is almost a must-have game for installation. Jess, are you going to treat your old friend to a drink? Chapter 217 Thoughts. Zio yayo, apologies first, the code was already done, but when I got home there was no internet, the Great Wall needed to be repaired, and it was not ready until after 9 o'clock. I'm really sorry that it took so long to post. After the apology, I would like to thank everyone who gave me tips. Thank you so much. It feels good to be recognized by others. Nikki was a little shocked. According to her, it was normal for Jay Chou to have some money. But in her opinion, Jay Chou might be like her, living on a family fund. Or he might have a rich father, a second generation rich kid like Huang Duling. Or he might have inherited a lot of money. But from what these people said, it seems that Jay Chou has a good eye for investment. The recent investments in internet technology companies are all companies that are now in great demand. Although he did not enter the market at the best time, his timing was not bad. Now people on Wall Street estimate that Apple and Facebook have the possibility of further growth, and their expectations for the future are not low. Is Watermelon Swordsman developed by your game company? Nikki asked Zhao Jixi. Other questions were not suitable for asking now. This game was very suitable for the familiarity between the two to talk about this topic. Yes, this is the game I came up with. Although I don't manage the company's operations now, I'm still the creative director. Zhao Jixi said it with a little pride, and unceremoniously regarded plagiarism as his own thing. According to his thinking, who knows that he is plagiarizing anyway? Then he asked Nikki knowingly, do you play this game? Indeed, this game is very interesting. I like it very much. I'm ranked 200th in the ranking list. Nikki said to Zhao Jixi with a smile. He was a little proud when he said this. In addition to being proud of his achievements, he also wanted to prove that he really played it, instead of deliberately complimenting Zhao Jixi. 200. Oh, Nikki, you are still very good, but the first place is still mine. Haha. Oh my god, you are that ZJX. Yes. After the two chatted for a few words, a few more people came over, and Zhou certainly welcomed them. He was not like the protagonist in the novel, who didn't like the hustle and bustle. He was quite interested in these social activities. Zhou yearned for the state of having friends all over the world. Therefore, he felt that it would be good for him to know more people in this place. After all, it is not a bad thing to have more connections. Besides, no matter whether it is black or white, it may be useful in the future. People living in this world have to make friends with all kinds of people. People who pretend to be noble can often only live in their own world. A wonderful life cannot be successful in their own world. Of course, Zhou is an exception. His own world is different from others. And Nikki was also very interested in this. She has been attending high society parties since she was a child, so she is very decent in dealing with such things. It also indirectly helped Zhou. When the two chatted with others together, they complimented each other. The people around them also had a very good impression of them. There were some topics that JC didn't know how to talk about, but Nikki knew some of them. But even so, she could take care of JC and take good care of him. This also made JC have a little view of the ages of the two for the first time. JC was definitely much older than Nikki in his previous life, but when he came back in this life, JC felt that he was just a young man in his 20s. In his previous life, he was immersed in his own world. People's growth is not based on age or something, but on life experience, and experience is linked to age, but age is not linked to experience. Although it's a bit messy, it's very simple to talk about it. Only by rolling around in this society and experiencing more life can people grow and understand what life is. Although JC had also made some efforts outside in his previous life, he was the kind of person who had enough food at home, so he was not panicked. When he encountered something unpleasant, he would just throw away the burden and quit. When he left, he could still say, "I don't want to serve you anymore." This is also related to the fact that Zhou's mother spoiled him since he was a child. People of his generation, like the teacher said, are little emperors who are the only daughters in the family. He is even more amazing. He is the only male in the family. He doesn't have to do anything. He lives a life of having everything provided for him. It was only after a few years of hanging around outside that he became more restrained. Unfortunately, he can't hang around outside for long. Thinking that his family can still collect rent to make a living, he doesn't want to make a living outside. So he completely became a homebody. He only talked a few words in front of the computer, watched movies, and even played few games, and did some asterisk. His social circle was pitifully small, and he was under the eyes of his parents. It was almost like he stopped growing, and he was going backwards. His life from then on was almost the same. If he could grow up to be a mature and stable person, no one would believe it. Even though his rebirth in this life gave him a great shock, he consciously corrected some of it, but the gap was revealed when compared. Nikki doesn't look much older than him, but in fact, she is a few years older than JC Chao. In addition, the family education she received since childhood and the wide social circle she has been in have also honed her up a lot. Although she used to be a person with a temper, she has changed a lot after experiencing more. Compared with JC Chao, she is definitely much better. The scope of chatting with these people is very wide, including food, clothing, housing, transportation, fashion, investment and other things, but it is always inseparable from money. JC Chao also met one or two people who were easy to talk to. Everyone left contact information with each other, and when they were free, they could make an appointment to do something together. As for what to do, we will talk about it when the time comes. The time for chatting passed quickly, and the time for the cocktail party in the living room was almost over. Now it's time to have a meal, which is the purpose of everyone's visit this time, to buy some pets that are not often seen. Because everyone knows that these things cannot be bought and sold openly through normal channels, and can only be supplied through special channels. As for the question of whether it is legal or not, no one will mention it. As long as they make it clear that they don't know, then they don't know. Even if something goes wrong later, he will be a victim, and the probability of this happening is obviously very small. As long as you buy it, the lawyer will help you improve the legality of these things through various channels. Whether it is for experimental research or injury rescue, the group of vampires will definitely make them legal in the United States. This is why Zhou Jixi asked the lawyer Harvey again after Huang Duling explained, so that he could buy here with peace of mind. As for whether it is an endangered animal, it really doesn't matter to us. Chapter 218 Enter. At this time, there were about 20 to 30 people here, and only about 10 of them were actually here to buy things. Most of the others were friends or female companions. These people were also guaranteed by the inviter, so there was no need to worry about safety. Darling, do you know what they have? Zhou Jixi walked with the crowd and asked Huang Duling while walking. I don't know too much, but I know that there are animals shipped back from Africa, and also from Indonesia, Malaysia and other regions. I don't know the details. Anyway, just look at it. If you want anything, you can also order from them, but the price will be higher. Huang Duling said. Oh, I see. Zhou Jixi said thoughtfully. In fact, it's just smuggling and poaching. And this is a place for laundering, but the price of the items is much more expensive than buying directly from those people. After all, it costs money for them to launder. That's actually what happened. These people register some scientific research institutions, apply to go to those countries for research, and then apply for restocking permission from the local countries under the pretext of research or protection. Then they buy directly from those poachers, and then blatantly ship them back to the United States, and finally sell them secretly all over the country. Huang Duling smiled and explained again. Even so, but it's so blatant. How could it be? Just like the people here today, they won't disclose information casually. I'm also an old member of the club, so I'm qualified to receive this kind of information. How can people outside the circle know this? So the club also does this business? How could it be? If the club wants to make money from this, then it won't open. They just provide news that members are interested in. As for whether you go or not, that's your business. Huang Duling continued. Anyway, there is no problem. If you don't mind paying a little membership fee every year, you can also apply. As your introducer, I will guarantee you for the 2 people just now. There is no problem for you to join the club quickly, and our club also has a large number of Chinese. Oh. Zhou Jixi smiled and pondered for a while. It sounds good, but what are the rules and regulations? Of course, although we are a small club, we are also good in some aspects. As for the rules and regulations, except for some confidentiality regulations, there are no special requirements for other things. Of course, if you join our club, you can join other clubs without any problem. These are all free, but you have to pay membership fees every year. If you don't pay for 2 consecutive years, you will be kicked out directly. Huang Duling said to Zhou Jixi. It sounds similar to some chamber of commerce models in the Celestial Empire, and it is a bit similar to the so-called clubs. Zhou Jixi thought about it and felt that it was pretty good, so he agreed to Huang Duling and filled out an application form another day and gave it to him. At this time, everyone walked along a small path and came to the outside of a large warehouse. The surrounding grass was also equipped with high brightness street lights. After walking for a while, they stopped outside the warehouse door. Several muscular men opened the warehouse door, and Zhou Jixi and others also saw the scene. It was not as messy as he had imagined before. What appeared in front of Zhou Jixi was a clean and neat internal layout. There was a faint warmth inside, and a smell of hay came out from inside. Zhou Jixi could also see a large and small incubator, but he couldn't see what was inside. Then several men in white coats came out and greeted a man in a suit with white gloves. After the 2 whispered a few words, the man in the suit stood up with a smile on his face. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to us. We Research Institute would like to express our gratitude for your kindness. Then he said some nonsense, but Zhou Jixi was too lazy to pay attention. Anyway, even if he spoke now, he would also exploit legal loopholes. Zhou Jixi was in the corner of this warehouse and saw that this was a certain research institute. Although it was not obvious, he believed that there must be such a thing. The Americans are so professional, but I wonder if they can get pandas with such professionalism. Zhou Jixi thought about it and gave up the idea. It seems that there is a count of pandas in China. It's too hard to raise them. It doesn't matter if it's in this warehouse or research institute. Anyway, it's more like a trading market for Zhou. After listening to this person's nagging, although he didn't say anything nagging at all, he was very humorous. This is what Nikki said, but Zhou just thinks this person is a bit nagging, let alone doing things. Damn, he looks like a pretty boy, but he's actually more handsome than me. Isn't he asking for trouble? Especially this kid deliberately looked at Zhou, although he was actually looking at Huang Duling, and this was also the boss's order, saying that this is a rich guy. But to ask Nikki to stand next to him, and Nikki also spoke for this kid, which made Zhou a little jealous. Is my lovely boy angry? Look at this face. Tut tut. Nikki held one of Zhou's hands and touched Zhou's face with the other hand. How could that be? I just feel that this boy is a little too attentive. Zhou quickly covered up. Although he also likes to fool around, this does not mean that he will not be jealous. As the saying goes, being jealous can prevent colds. What a cute guy. Nikki looked at Zhou's back and said in a low voice with a smile. She has been married before, and she has seen mature and stable men. But this time she felt that Zhou was actually quite good, although he was a bit like a bad boy who was spoiled by his mother. But this was very attractive to her. Although she didn't know how long this feeling would last, since she felt very happy now, she would enjoy it for a while. Sometimes it is also an experience to raise a boyfriend as a son. And this man seems to be quite capable, but his temper is sometimes a bit childish. When Zhou walked in, he saw that there were many incubators in a certain area, which contained animal cubs that were a few months old or had just been born. Although Zhou couldn't tell what they were, fortunately, they were also professional and wrote what they were on the outside. This way, everyone could understand it after seeing it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217 Komodo Dragon. The one that Zhou just saw was written as Bengal monitor lizard. He suddenly realized that it was a monitor lizard. No wonder it was sold here. The introduction said that this thing has a strong ability to survive from deserts to tropical rainforests, seasonal snowy winters, mountainous areas, etc. It can survive. This is a subspecies from Western Bengal. Zhou just skipped through the following introductions. Zhou definitely didn't plan to raise this thing. It was too ugly. It looks really ugly. Nikki also said besides Zhou. Indeed, it's the same as I thought. Zhou also said in agreement. Nikki's idea was really the same as his. He kissed Nikki intimately. To others, it seemed that the two of them had a very good relationship. Only they themselves knew that they had only known each other for a few hours. Then Zhou looked to the side again, where there was a man in a white coat. Zhou took Nikki to look at the brand name, Komodo Dragon. Zhou looked at the man in the white coat, and the man explained to the two of them, this kind of monitor lizard is much more precious than the monitor lizards in Bangladesh and other monitor lizards. It turns out that it is more valuable. No wonder there is a special person to explain it. Zhou glanced at him, and then looked at these small lizards. Of course, they were not small. Zhou could still see their sharp teeth and long tongues. The white coat paused, and seeing that Zhou and others were a little interested, he began to say, this thing is raised as a national treasure by the Indonesian country. With the hunting of humans, natural disasters and other reasons, and the fact that adult monitor lizards will also feed on their cubs, the number of these guys is getting smaller and smaller. We got a lot of these monitor lizard cubs, as well as some large adult monitor lizards. If you are interested, you can also take some pictures back later. This thing doesn't look very good, Zhou muttered, but as the white coat continued to explain, Zhou was a little interested again. These monitor lizards can grow up to 3 meters in length, almost as long as small dinosaurs. Monitor lizards run very fast, and their tails are very powerful. The tail whip at the end of their thick tails can sweep the enemy. The claws can easily tear prey into pieces. The monitor lizard's sharp tongue can collect odor particles like a snake, and it can almost sense the smell of food within 1,000 meters. Is that so? Zhao Jixi was a little tempted. This thing seems to be very powerful when raised. As for whether it is obedient or not, he never worries about it. Put it in the space for a few days. Let the little goblins educate it and use the space to let it recognize itself as its master. Add the water of vitality to make it smarter. I believe this monitor lizard will definitely be obedient. The more Zhao Jixi thought about it, the more it made sense. Although this thing looks a little ugly, it has never been beautiful. But according to his aesthetic point of view, it can also be explained as growing very powerful. If a few of these are placed at the villa to guard the door, it will definitely be a disaster. The living habits of those crocodiles are still a little different from those of the Komodo dragon. However, we can raise some crocodiles in the future. There is no treasure in the swamp on the farm. Seeing the lush grass on the farm, many of those little creatures have also immigrated here, and now they are about to flood. We need to raise a few crocodiles in the future to control the number of these animals. Jess, don't look at this. This laundry is really ugly. Nikki urged Zhao Jixi from the side. She was not very interested in this thing with skin that looked a bit like a snake. Although she would not be disgusted with snakeskin products or this more expensive Komodo dragon skin. But that is also a product after they are killed and processed. Now this thing will only make her feel uncomfortable. After hearing this, Zhao Jixi had to look at something else first. Women sometimes need special care without affecting their mood. Okay, dear, I'll listen to you. Let's go and see if there are any other fun little guys. Zhao Jixi said to Nikki intimately. After saying that, he pulled her to the side, where Zhao Jixi saw another strange species. He guaranteed that he definitely didn't know about this thing. He only heard about the duck-billed fire dragon beast when he watched cartoons when he was a child. He didn't expect that there were actually a few animals with duck beaks here. This is really a spectacle. Nikki, look, these little guys look very strange. Very much like an animal version of a duck. Zhao Jixi said to Nikki excitedly, and then he saw Nikki pointing at an introduction sign and looking at him. Platypus. Sure enough, this name is very appropriate. Then he said to Nikki awkwardly, so you have already seen it? I noticed it just now. The little treasures here are really strange. I can't help but buy one to take home. She smiled and looked at Zhao Jixi. Seeing that Zhao Jixi wanted to show that he could give it to her, she shook her head and said, it's a pity that I don't have time to take care of them. I'd better keep a puppy. Really? Zhao Jixi asked one more question. Yes, although I like this, I will never offer my swimming pool or my bathtub for these little guys to swim. Nikki said to Zhao Jixi affirmatively. Zhao Jixi saw her affirmative attitude and knew that what Nikki said was true. Living in the city, she was indeed not suitable for raising this, so Zhao Jixi did not dwell on it anymore. The little guys inside were very fleshy, their limbs were short and thick, and there were webbed feet between the 5 toes, especially the webbed feet of the forelimbs were very developed, and when Zhao Jixi saw it, it had already closed its webbed feet. What particularly attracted Zhao Jixi was its big duck beak, although it looked a bit like a duck beak. But if you look closely, you will find that its beak is not like the hard keratinous substance of a duck or a bird. It is a bit soft. Zhao Jixi saw that the beak could be bent, and there were no teeth in the mouth. This cute look made Zhao Jixi want to hug it now. At this time, it was the man in the white coat just now, because he was the closest to this area, so he came over. Do you two need help? Zhao Jixi and Nikki looked at each other and said in unison, I think we need it now. After saying that, seeing how well coordinated they were, they clapped their hands and smiled in unison. Chapter 220 Platypus. The white coat also smiled at this, looked at the two people with a bit of blessing and said, this is a strange mammal living in Australia, the platypus. Haha. I say it is strange, because it does not exist on the earth. This kind of animal looks more strange than the platypus. And no other animal has caused as many academic disputes as the platypus. Wow, it sounds magical, a bit like when my father told us stories about magicians at home when I was a child. After listening, Nikki whispered in Zhao Jixi's ear, why do I feel that he is a bit like a weirdo? Zhao Jixi was silent for a while and whispered to Nikki. The white coat was obviously immersed in the storytelling stage, and it seemed that a few more people came this time. The guy got even more excited when he talked about it. More than 100 years ago, scientists didn't believe that there was such an animal as the platypus because it looked really weird, like a reptile, a mammal, and a bird. When he said this, the people who were watching also laughed softly, thinking that it made sense, which satisfied his expectations of his humor, so he talked more excitedly. Look, the flat mouth of the platypus is very similar to the mouth of a duck. But the difference is that the mouth of the platypus has nerves that transmit touch, can bend, and is very sensitive to vibrations. It is not like the hard keratin of the bird's beak. When he said this, the white coat pointed to the mouth of the little platypus and said, when several people saw the mouth of the little thing move, as if it was gasping for air, and it was slightly bent, they immediately said oh as if they understood. Look here. Pointing to the eyes of the platypus, he said, its small and bright eyes are high on its head, so it can see the two banks clearly and scan the sky. The two grooves extending backwards from the eyes are its ears. The platypus ears don't have ear shells, which can help it adapt to life in the water. Also, outside the fat body of the platypus, they are covered with a layer of dense, brown and shiny hair. This hair is impermeable when entering the water, and will not be wetted by water when out of the water. The large tail behind its body is flat and powerful, acting as a rudder, which can help it swim quickly. When on land, it will close its webbed feet. Once it enters the water, it will spread out its thick webbed feet, like several large oars. The male platypus also has a curved venom spur on its hind leg, which is very similar to the fangs of a viper, and contains deadly venom. You should be careful about this, and it's best to ask our professionals to help deal with it when the time comes. After listening to his introduction, Zhou and others became more and more interested in this thing. He has now made up his mind to buy a few to take home and raise. He had never seen this little thing in his previous life. Now that he has the opportunity to buy it back, he certainly doesn't want to miss this opportunity. Then Huang Duling also came over and whispered a few words to Zhou. Zhou told Nikki to let her look at it for a while he went inside to take a look. There are many large animals inside, and the air may not smell good, so he didn't ask her to go with him. Nikki felt very touched by Zhou's thoughtfulness. Although this man sometimes has a childish temper, he sometimes makes people feel his kindness. He is really a contradictory person. After kissing Zhou affectionately, he let him go. There were also a few men going together. The further they went, the more mature animals they could see. Along the way, Zhou saw several cages with gorillas, such as chimpanzees or orangutans, and even gorillas like Sayan in Zhou's home. Going forward, Zhou also saw various rare animals and some monkeys, such as the golden bamboo lemur, but this thing is really not very good. There is another kind that Zhou can understand, the golden blackleaf monkey, which looks very good, but it's a pity that Zhou's family doesn't plan to keep monkeys for the time being. Walking over, you can also see a kind of monkey that looks a bit like the legendary mandrill in the Celestial Empire, also called the baboon. Zhou took a special look. This guy has a horse face and is a bit thin. To be honest, this guy doesn't look very good. Although Zhou also thinks that it seems to be too vulgar to look at the external beauty, but sometimes you really need to look at it when raising a pet. You have to look a little bit more fierce. In this day and age, as long as it is fierce, other things can be ignored. Unfortunately, this guy doesn't look fierce enough and will call who stupidly. Then walking in, Zhou didn't see the usual lions and tigers. Zhou saw quite a few strange things. But after a little thought, he figured it out. Most of what this guy sells are rare species. There are relatively few of them in the world, and they are also difficult to get. On the contrary, it is much easier to get fierce beasts like lions and tigers. But if your things are easy to get, the price will not go up. Since there is no profit, they are smart people and will not do these things. But if the customer wants it, they can place an order and they can deliver it to their home. But as the old saying goes, the price will be a little higher. Following the people around, they have been attracted by these animals. Several people also dispersed to watch. Only Huang Duling followed Zhou, and he looked at other things aimlessly. It is better to follow Zhou to watch these guys. Anyway, it is the same for him. At this time, Zhou saw something he was interested in, a few big turtles, and they were not ordinary turtles. They were placed in several cages, and outside the cages were many leaves, fruits and other things. Zhou took a closer look and found that each turtle was bigger than the other. Wow, the head of this turtle is unusually big. Huang Darling also saw this thing and sighed at the right time, but Zhou felt a little awkward when he heard it. Why do I feel that what you said is a bit vulgar? Zhou looked at the turtle and said to Huang Darling. Actually, you think too much, that's what I said. He made a masturbation gesture and said to Zhou, look at these guys, do you feel powerless? That's why you think so boringly. If you think your thing can be as flexible as this and have eyes and nose, then you can continue to compare with them. I can only feel speechless about your behavior. Zhou really looked a little bit amused. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.